right now, quick, before they take it down.
Adam Curry, John C. Dvorak.
It's Thursday, June 18th, 2020. This is your award-winning Gibbo Nation Media Assassination episode 1252.
This is No Agenda.
Tracking the CCP and broadcasting live from Opportunity Zone 33 here in the frontier of Austin, Texas, capital of the Drone Star State. In the morning, everybody, I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, where I've had to kill the Kaylee segment of today's show, I'm John C. Dvorak.
It's Crackpot and Buzzkill in the morning.
Oh, no. We cannot start like that. What do you mean killing the Kaylee segment? It
was sabotaged.
Oh, my goodness. What happened?
Well, I have a Kaylee clip. You can play it and figure it out when you just listen to it.
Well, I do. So how about the Kaylee jingles? All of that is not appropriate.
Well, for today, I'll probably try to bring it back on Sunday, but it's supposed to be every Thursday.
I would note about the Scott.
Oops, sorry. Here we go.
I would note about the Scott bill is for years we've tried to make lynching a federal crime in this country, and the Scott bill does it. It's a great bill. It's more great action from Republicans, and we hope we can have bipartisan support on that.
You know, I got a whole bunch of messages and tweets of people saying, you got to look at this right now, quick, before they take it down. I'm like, wow, holy crap, what is that? Turn the audio up. I'm like, wow, she must have said something crazy. I'm like, oh, because some audio engineer left the return feed fader open? That's the big surprise?
And they couldn't fix it.
Oh, it was throughout. I thought they did. It was throughout the whole thing?
I watched a good half hour of it. I didn't see it fixed. And Fox just killed the feed.
Oh, my goodness.
I don't know. Maybe they did fix it at the end, but I wasn't going to listen to it. I mean, because she was delivering a number of good zingers. I was just, oh, no, I lost another one. I mean, it's not as though she won't be doing this forever. But.
So are you thinking that this is indeed sabotage?
Yeah, of course.
Well, I didn't consider that. I consider just dumb. You know, these guys have made mistakes before in the briefing room. And I think this was egregious. It's bad. Yeah, well, you know, it's like they probably had his cell phone off and someone was trying to, freaking out, trying to let him know what was going on. And they just never heard it, I guess, unless you're right. Sabotage. Agent provocateur is doing the sabotage.
She's not well liked. I mean, I was looking at the...
no kidding.
I was looking at, for example, there was it was in the newsletter. I ran these Rick Wilson. Rick Wilson is, which I have some clips of him later. Rick Wilson's one of the guys behind the Lincoln Project, a bunch of supposedly disgruntled conservatives, but that want Trump out.
Yeah, right.
Crystal will be one of them. This guy, some other Republicans, Romney might as well be in the group.
Well,
and he's like blasting dominoes for acknowledging Kaylee, saying thanks for the pizza.
12 years ago.
12 years ago, and so it's actually
that.
2012 was 8 years ago, and so somebody ended up digging up some stuff on him, talking about how great it was that somebody beat up a soldier. You know.
Well, do you want to do that now since you've kind of done the whole introduction?
Well, this is kind of one of the more intellectual series. By intellectual, I mean it's educational. I shouldn't say intellectual. Our stuff's never intellectual. But these are clips from the new Abnormal, and they kind of play into your
yes,
concept.
Okay, hold on a second. So first of all, whenever I get up on a show day morning and I see not one, but multiple series of clips from you, my heart skips a beat. And I saw this. I did. Of course, I don't listen to them. I saw this new Abnormal, like, oh, John's found something. I can't wait. Now that I know what it's related to, why don't I start off with the noodle gun, and then we can fold into that? Does that make sense?
Yes, I would prefer that, because this is a little bit too educational
yes,
to start the show.
Early morning, yes, I understand.
I'm gonna shoot you in the face with my noodle gun, you racist piece of shit. I got my pasta Glock locked and loaded.
Yes. I thought that people would want to do something about the original noodle gun sound, which is this. Even the keeper said, man, that sounds kind of wimpy. Yeah, that's not exactly, I think, what a noodle gun sounds like. So we did get a new one. It's been upgraded in caliber. Give this one a shot. What do you think?
It's funnier.
I think the scream does it, so it works for me. Yeah. Well, we've had, just to recap, Noodle Gun based on Noodle Boy. If you don't know who Noodle Boy is, just take it from me. It's everyone who you see on the street right now who is between 25 and 35 years old and who are outraged by everything. And they are now using the power of their phones and social media to call out the woke brands and people of the world who have been saying that they're all in and they support Black Lives Matter. And inside these organizations are Noodle Boys and Noodle Girls who will gladly rat on them and make change from within. And this is hurting business. I'm not saying if it's justified or not, but it's hurting their business. And we'll start today with the Noodle Gun that everybody... It was the Noodle Gun shot heard around the world.
Familiar face at breakfast for more than a century will soon be a thing of the past. Quaker Oats, which is owned by Pepsi, announcing that they're getting rid of the 130-year-old Aunt Jemima brand, famous for pancake mixes, maple syrup, and other breakfast foods.
Aunt Jemima buckwheat pancakes. They're good.
By the way, what kind of lame-ass jingle did they make for Aunt Jemima back in the day?
Well, I was there back in the day, and I've never heard this
I don't
jingle.
remember that jingle.
Aunt Jemima buckwheat pancakes. They're good.
The company says by the end of this year, its packaging will no longer feature the controversial Aunt Jemima image, and soon they will completely change the brand's name altogether.
It's time to let go of symbols like this because of how weighted they are and what they represent.
Cornell University's Dr. Rashay Richardson recently wrote a New York Times article, "Can we please finally get rid of Aunt Jemima?"
Children, going with their parents to the grocery store can still see images, this retrograde image of Black womanhood on store shelves. And it's an image that harkens back to the antebellum plantation. It's rooted in plantation. Aunt Jemima is that kind of stereotype that is premised on this idea of Black inferiority and otherness.
Very successful New York Times article, I'd say. Very good.
Like otherness. Keep that in play.
I'm sorry?
I like keeping otherness in play.
Otherness, yeah. Now, I can't wait to talk to Mo about this particular Noodle Gun Target strike. I think it was on deck for a long time. We've heard this before that, Aunt Jemima.
Can I read a note that we got
sure.
from one of our producers, Glenn?
Yeah.
And I said, we want to read the couple of grasses pretty long.
All right.
I guess you heard something about the Aunt Jemima thing. I guess because of the icon Quaker Oats chose decades ago, he was based in a minstrel. He says minstrel show character, but that's not true. He goes on to mention apparently Uncle Ben's converted rice is up for grabs.
Yep.
And Quaker Oats just held on these for too long. Now, here's the part that I thought was kind of interesting. Apparently, Haribo Candies is removing one of their licorice face-shaped candies.
Black face licorice. Damn.
From the overseas markets.
Hold on.
And then he says, I think we'll only be able to bite the heads off of white chocolate bunnies because anything that's made of darker chocolates is a racist product. Everyone knows that live bunny. So this goes to Easter bunny.
Yeah.
Everyone knows that the bunnies. But here's the one that this came up on the dinner table just by coincidence last night. I now wonder how long Nabisco will get away with selling its Oreo cookies.
Ooh,
Isn't that a racial slur? Hey ho, hi ho, hey ho. Oreo
cookies got to go. Yes.
So we'll all be eating Hydrox or whatever that other one is, which is probably going to go too because it sounds too much like hydroxychloroquine.
Because I did reflect on this for a moment about Aunt Jemima. And what I always felt growing up, I was a box reader, so I read the cereal box. I couldn't wait to cut out the record on the back. Remember those? Little cardboard 45 you could play? And I'd stare at the Aunt Jemima bottle. And I remember, man, she looks like she makes good pancakes and syrup. That's all I ever thought. But no. These kids today, they see that and they have a different connection, although it's been around for, over 100 years?
Now, the other one they're going after is Mrs. Butterworth, which isn't even a black character, but apparently because it's in a brown bottle.
Oh, wrong. You just heard that article about she mentioned the antebellum period. Well, here comes another Noodle Gun shot.
The Black Lives Matter movement caused the country pop trio Lady Antebellum this week to change the name of the group from Lady Antebellum.
By the way, they've won scores of Grammy Awards, American Music Awards. You know, they're extremely successful as Lady Antebellum.
Antebellum to simply Lady A. They said in light of the Black Lives Matter movement, the term antebellum was offensive to many. The word itself actually meaning pre-Civil War. So they changed their name. Now a blues singer out of Seattle whose name is Lady A is stepping forward saying, this is my brand. I've used the name for over 20 years. It's what I'm proud of. It shouldn't have taken this group George Floyd's death to realize that their name had a slave reference to it. And she is asking that they change it to something else, that her name has already been taken.
Ooh, a rare ricochet from the noodle gun. It splattered off Lady Antebellum and hit him again with the Lady A. Woohoo! Good job. Now, let's take it.
What does it take to check the Copyright Office? You're a big name, like you said. You said it. These are multi-million-dollar big name band, and they just changed their name without even doing any research whatsoever with all the money that they have.
Hey, it's their own fault. You know, you don't do it right. You ricochet off. You struck twice by the shrapnel from the noodle gun. Little bits of pasta on your face. Scandinavia is not immune to all this. The CBC kids weigh in on the latest noodle gun shot.
All right, well, let's get into it. Vina, what has you fired up this week?
Well, I've been following this J.K. Rowling controversy, and it all started with a tweet she made. Actually, it started with this headline, creating a more equal post-COVID-19 world for people who menstruate. J.K. took issue with the word people being used. Maybe she was trying to be funny, but she hinted that the publication should have stuck with using the word women. Some fans pointed out that there are lots of those who menstruate who don't identify as women. And then things got a little messy. Lots of tweets back and forth, and at one point, JK fired back with, "My life has been shaped by being female, and I don't think it's hateful to say so."
It's 2020. Releasing these kind of statements online is not a good look. And hasn't she been accused of transphobic stuff in the past?
Yeah. Last year, she was criticized for supporting a woman who was fired after saying that trans women weren't real women.
Sis, read the room. There are so many conversations right now about equality, justice, and racism. Is it any surprise that this story is going up right now?
Exactly. It's Pride Month, too. And this week, Daniel Radcliffe, Harry Potter himself, reacted with an essay advocating for trans lives.
Oh, yeah. He saw that gun come out. He's like, ooh, let me write you a little essay about trans lives. Stay away from me with that noodle gun. And now, inside the publishing house...
Before we, I don't want to kill your bit here, your virtual red buttons, the way you're doing this. There's a reference one guy will get. But I want to talk a little bit about that last clip.
Okay, sure.
Now, that clip came from the Canadian Broadcasting Company, and they have a bunch of these kids shows.
Mm-hmm.
And that is one, I don't know the name of that one, is Kids or something. It's got some name.
It's CBC Kids.
Yeah, CBC Kids. Well, no, that's, I think that's the overall brand. I think these individual shows have different names.
Oh, could be.
And that particular one is, for one thing, the kids are, these kids are reading a script.
Really? Something on television is scripted? Get out of town.
And they're promoting a kind of a point of view. And right now, you're right. This is the noodle gun aimed at J.K. Rowling, who roundly deserves it. And I just find it's like a propaganda piece, and I find it to be just generally offensive. I find that that guy had that same clip. That's the reason I can talk about it. I found it to be offensive. A bunch of kids going on and on about transgender. They don't know anything, and they're making these. I found it extremely offensive.
Well, there's a backstory to this, or a follow up, really, as Hachette Publishing House, workers inside the company and this Hachette will be publishing Rowling's new book, The Ichabog, have staged their rebellion. And they said...
they already did that once,
Yes, I know, but now it's for reals, because now they have Le Noodle Gun.
Well, they had a noodle gun when they aimed it at Woody Allen. They killed his book.
Right, but they say they're not. I don't know if it's the same. This is different. They have support from the outside now. This is different.
Maybe it might be
different scenario.
Well,
yeah, this is
a
different.
lot of support from the outside about Woody too.
J.K. Rowling's book will not get published. It will not until she repents. She has to repent. She has to make a statement. She will. Repent. Oh, yes, she will. Even the richest woman in book writing today, J.K. Rowling, she will repent. I guarantee. I'm going to put it in the book in a moment.
Right, you put it in there because I would like to see her repent. Getting her to repent would be dynamite.
Well, she would have to say that she was wrong and she's educated herself. Now, hold on a second. So this is...
we can write the script.
And this is... Well, get started.
We've heard enough of these repents. I was wrong. I was uneducated. The education angle is in there, and I found the right way, the right path. We should look over some of these apologies and kind of construct a universal apology.
Okay, so I have it here, June 18th, 2020, 11:26 a.m., J.K. Rowling to repent. Okay, so it's in there. She will repent. I have a couple more, let's see, just one more clip, and then we can talk about a few other ones. This just came out this morning as about 15 minutes before we got on. I saw this trending, and I thought, oh my goodness, it's the noodle gun! Yes! This is a video taken by a Taco Bell employee. He has the he's in his car, he has the camera on his lap. He's wearing a Black Lives Matter mask and his the rest of his Taco Bell uniform, and he's talking to his manager because his manager has just fired him. This is now viral. Noodle gun viral.
You just fired me because I got a Black Lives Matter on. You just told me I had to go home because I got a... You
weren't going to take it off.
I'm not. Because I'm standing up for what's right. I'm not taking it off. Tammy said we could wear whatever mask.
No, she did not. She said it had to be plain. You can't bring politics into the building.
Bro, I'm not bringing politics in. This is what I'm standing for. Like, how is this considered politics?
How is it not, Denzel?
I'm not taking it off.
Okay, well then there's nothing I can do for you. I'm just doing my job.
I'm doing mine too. And I'm standing up for my peoples too.
You don't get it.
You don't either.
No, I do get it.
No, you don't. Because if you did, this wouldn't be a problem.
It's not that it's a problem with me, Denzel. It's a company thing.
Man, I ain't trying to hear that.
You let somebody wear something that said something about white people on it?
Bro, if that's what they stand for, yes.
I'm not against for what you stand for either, but I have to do what the company says.
All right, stop. Give yourself a clip of the day for that.
Oh, thank you very much. The hashtag is RIP Taco Bell, so you can follow along.
Clip of the day.
Thank you very much. Yeah, this is it's very, very powerful, and I'm sure this manager will be terminated. She has to be. They're calling for heads. Got to do that. I'll just run down.
Heads must roll.
Heads must roll. So we have Mike Grundy, of course, Oklahoma State football. What is he? Coach?
It's Gundy,
player,
I believe, isn't it?
Gundy. I don't know.
He's the head coach.
I'm just reading the headlines. So
he's a superstar head coach.
Yes. Well, the superstar head coach has repented and has apologized for having the audacity to wear a One America News T-shirt. Oh boy! On his day off. Let's see. Internal uprising I'm just doing the headlines, within the Los Angeles Times newsroom over racial inequality and coverage of the Black Lives Matter protests. It wasn't covered right. Okay. Then we have game developers. This is really interesting. Steam, as you know, is a very popular hub, I guess, for getting games, particularly on Xbox. And
I know nothing of this.
Yes. Well, you can also, I guess it's the company is Valve. I think it is.
Oh, Valve. Okay.
Yeah, Valve. Exactly. So Valve, the company behind Steam.
I know Steam. I played Steam.
Yes, they have not come out and, well, in fact, I have the quote here. Over the past few weeks, Steam and Valve have chosen not to address the Black Lives Matter movement, failing.
Oh, no.
Failing to make even a broad and generic statement about racial justice. This will not stand. It's clearer than ever that the owners of this platform feel beholden to a base of angry white male gamers. This makes me especially sad. I feel that some of these people are the people who most need to hear the messages of Black Lives Matter, everybody. Yo. Square hit. You sung my battleship with that one. Nice one. And these are the developers are pulling their games, taking away their own livelihoods. Fantastic. ABC finally has cast the first Black Bachelor, but it took too long to do it. So, no way, you get Noodle Gun. Woo! The Good Place producer Megan Amram apologizes for offensive tweets. I won't even read them because you won't understand what's offensive. And, of course, NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell is now encouraging teams to sign Colin Kaepernick, as we still have a Red Book entry for him to actually play. Colin Kaepernick himself has joined the board of blogging company Medium. I would say this is an excellent noodle gun-proof vest. Hey, man, if someone says something weird on our platform, we got Colin Kaepernick, so we'll evaluate it properly. Lewis Hamilton, the successful Formula One driver, is very mad at Helmut Marko because apparently he hasn't said anything about Black Lives Matter. He needs to come out and say something. And now Hamilton is out saying, I hope your teammates know what you really are all about. Just because the guy said, I'm really not interested in saying anything.
Wow.
Boy Scouts of America, listen up. Introduced the Black Lives Matter inspired diversity and inclusion badge, which will now be required to become an Eagle Scout.
What is okay, each one of these badges requires some sort of skill or development or something. You got the knot badge, for example. You got to tie so many knots, certain kinds of knots.
So what?
So what will this be? You got to have sex with the person of color? I mean, what?
Well, let me see if it's in the article. I don't really remember reading the actual requirements.
It's got to be some requirement.
It must be. Let's see. The statement, we condemn the murders of George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, all those who are not named but equally important. We hear the anguish, feel the heartbreak, join the country's resolve to do better. The Boy Scouts of America stands with black families and black community because we believe that Black Lives Matter. This is why, as an organization, we commit to introducing a specific diversity and inclusion merit badge, which will be required for the rank of Eagle Scout. It will build on components within existing merit badges, including American cultures and citizenship in the community merit badge, which requires scouts to learn about and engage with other groups and cultures to increase understanding and spur positive action. Here we go. The scouts will be requiring diversity and inclusion training for all the employees. Oh, brother. Whatever. Fine, it's a course. You take a course. You take a course and get a badge. It's insincere. It's insincere. All of it's insincere, and it's a webinar.
There you go.
It's a webinar.
There you go. You nailed it.
It's insincere.
This is all insincere.
It really is.
And why is it tolerated?
Well, it's not. I think that's what's happening. Is the insincerity is now being pulled apart. So these brands who are virtue signaling about how woke they are, and it turns out it's not true on the inside, is an issue. And as I said, I think they're coming for Tim Cook. It will come. Here's one thing that
it's coming for everybody.
Here's one thing.
You go as far as you can with these things.
Yes. And I have a clip to prove that. You're absolutely right. So here is something interesting. As you know,
want to know your limits. Once you get the limits, in the next go around, because the first time around, Black Lives Matter didn't get accomplished much. They changed. I don't know what happened. I'd like to know if they changed the PR agency or what they did. They changed the CEO. I have no idea. But it's a kick-ass operation.
It sure is, and I think because it's distributed that it's so kick-ass. Honestly, no one person owns the brand anymore. It's out there and it's being painted on streets and on T-shirts. Anyone can pretty much use this. I don't think it's copyrighted, trademarked, or anything at this point. Now, Sleeping Giants and Media Matters and a number of other groups and noodle gun bearers have been hitting at Fox News, in particular, Tucker Carlson.
All my clips are about this.
Okay, good. I'll leave that for what it is. Good.
All my clips are about sleeping giants.
Perfect. So
because we have the founder of Sleeping Giants appearing on a podcast.
So before we get to that, I would like to take a look at what I think is going on. You're talking about this powerful brand, and I think that there's influence across the board. We've seen just in the past week, 54 scientists given NIH grants have been fired for failure to disclose foreign ties, and that is to China. The Charles Lieber, the main professor, the first guy who he was the former chair of Harvard University's Chemistry and Chemical Biology Department. He has now been indicted. It's not just a charge. He was indicted on June 9th for making false statements about his association with China's Thousand Talents program, and he will appear before the Boston Federal Court to answer the charges at a later date. But he's arrested for fraud, and he has been out on bail, $1 million bail. It's so beautiful. So
yeah, this is something. I mean, this is the kind of thing that you'd think would be just front page, pounding the front page, pounding the beginning of all the newscasts. This is major. This is espionage. This is by the highest levels of professorships in the country, and it's not even discussed.
So in wake of everything that's taking place, and I mean really Corona, Orange Man Bad, Black Lives Matter, Noodle Gun, all of this comes from not just the medical profession, which clearly there's corruption going on. The entertainment world, clearly we know there's corruption going on. And the academic world, clearly we know there's corruption going on. Politics, yeah, I'm pretty sure there's always corruption, but it seems to all be coming from one place. And it was a producer who pointed out to me the clip we played of Tom Collins Cook virtue signaling about how much they care about Black Lives Matter, even though they're well under the national average with their diversity, 9% instead of 13%, but still the best of Silicon Valley. Something was pointed out here about something he said, and I think it was a tell, and I have some follow-up clips about that.
So it is today. We're at an important moment in our history, a time when progress, which has been far too slow, feels suddenly poised to move forward in a great leap. Each of us...
Are we familiar with a great leap forward?
Was that Johnson or was that Kennedy?
China had the great leap.
That's right, the Cultural Revolution.
Yes, sir, the great leap forward, the Cultural Revolution. Tim Cook doesn't say this by accident. And I don't know if he's lifting the veil and letting us know what's coming, or if that he's signaling to his buddies in China. I don't know. We'll listen to that one bit again.
Feels suddenly poised to move forward in a great leap.
It was the Cultural Revolution. So I found an interview. This is, again, that America's Thought Leaders podcast. And I pulled a couple clips because this guy lays out what the CCP, I'm not going to say China, but this Chinese Communist Party, may have been doing. At least there's a lot of circumstantial evidence. And why we're in this position now with the influences that have come from the outside. And now this guy works for the Epoch Times, so you got to take that into account. He's severely biased. Well, he's in the Epoch Times. You know better than I do. What are these guys? Aren't they some cult?
Yeah, Falun Gong.
Okay, not a cult, but they're a religion.
Well, it's not a religion. It's a cult. But anyway, go on.
Well, it's an anti-Chinese Communist Party group, so you need to bear that in mind. But let's start off with academics and, as we were just talking about, and the Department of Education, what they're doing right now about about the corruption and the fraud inside the educational system.
So that is Dr. Charles Lieber. He was the head of the chemistry department at Harvard. It is significant for several reasons. First off, because in and of itself, a top professor at one of the, probably the top university in the United States, if not the world, one of the top, was indicted, and he wasn't indicted for his ties to the Chinese regime. He was indicted for, slap on the wrist charge, like, lying to investigators. But what he was doing is he was taking money, allegedly. Of course, he hasn't been, found guilty yet, but allegedly, taking money from the Chinese Communist Party under its 1,000 Talents program. And this has kind of shown a light on the issue of Chinese academic espionage. It has the whole country, at least to some extent, aware now that the Chinese regime has been buying off our professors, and that the Chinese regime has actual programs like the 1,000 Talents program, there's many others, meant to get into our universities and compromise professors, academics, researchers, and so on. And one thing that's interesting now is the Department of Education is going through the different universities, and they're investigating, top to bottom, whether individuals have received gifts from foreign governments, China being the largest, that they were not disclosing. And what they're saying now is Dr. Charles Lieber is the tip of the iceberg.
Oh, yeah. Scrumptious. The tip of the iceberg, everybody. Yeah, I like that. So
now let's stop for a second and analyze what the guy said. First of all, what does it mean? Like, I'm a professor. Let's say I'm a professor over here at Cal. I'm teaching chemistry.
Right.
And the Chinese are coming by. They have my office hours. They come by and they say, "Hi, how you doing? What do you up to? We'd like what you're up to, and we'd like to, maybe partner with you. Maybe we can do a joint venture somewhere down the road. The way these things operate." And then they give me a
$50,000 a month. They were giving.
Then they give. Well, let's just say they give me a gold Rolex worth about $20,000.
Uh-huh.
And I'm a good boy, and I declare it on my taxes. Is that good enough for these people?
You have to disclose that to the university.
Why?
That's part of your employment agreement.
I've never heard this.
Well, that's the understanding I have. I've never been a professor. I've never really even been at a university.
Well,
so
we have.
I don't know.
We have you.
But when you have grant
through U of T.
Well,
anyway.
But there's another issue. Is grant money that goes towards specific research is also co-sponsored by the United States government. So that has to be known. The government, I'm sure there's disclosure forms. I don't know 100% what the problem is, but, and these guys also have labs in China. So they'll go over there and they're working there for a little bit. They'll come back and they don't disclose.
What about Fauci?
Well, we'll get to all of that. Let's move on beyond the medical to really the three warfares doctrine that the Chinese, I believe, have been waging on us.
Yeah, from the surface standpoint, it is very much Cold War. But when it comes to the CCP, they talk about worldview warfare. They talk about the three warfares. In fact, adopted into their military code is a three warfares doctrine, which is media warfare, psychological warfare, and legal warfare. It is the war for hearts and minds, as we would call it, but on a very, very large scale, integrated fully into their military and done outside of the spectrum of normal warfare. For example, China Daily had just had to disclose finally its FARA documents showing money it was giving to different
FARA is the Foreign Agent Registration Act. So if you are lobbying on behalf of a foreign entity, this is basically what put Paul Manafort in jail because he didn't file those papers.
News outlets to run its propaganda. China Daily was already registered as a foreign agent of the Chinese Communist Party. More recently, under the State Department, it's now classified as a foreign mission of the CCP. When you're a foreign mission, you're a branch of the Chinese government. And so major U.S. newspapers were taking hundreds of thousands of dollars each, collectively millions of dollars, from what is really a branch of the Chinese government, the Chinese Communist Party, to publish its propaganda. Under China Watch, they called it. Now, from their standpoint, they would say, it's labeled as advertisement, it's an advertisement. The question is, these are some of the same outlets that were making a big deal about Russian disinformation affecting our elections. If you look at this question of, you think Russian disinformation is a problem, but you don't think Chinese disinformation is a problem, and you're taking money from a foreign government to publish it when it's very hostile to this country?
Oh, what could possibly go wrong? Now, of course, you revealed that to us months ago. And when I saw the press release that it was only 2 papers that were mentioned that were taking money for these so-called paid ads, and it was the Washington Post and the Wall Street Journal. But I didn't see the New York Times. No, that was the New York Times. That's what I thought too, but I don't see it listed.
Well, that's odd.
Yeah, and of course they do the China Daily, which may be a different publication they're taking money for. I'm not sure exactly why, but everywhere I was, they said 2 newspapers. It's the Post and the Times. And it was the Post and the Wall Street Journal. I was very surprised. Anyway, let's move over to the political landscape.
But on the broader picture, there's also political warfare. The Chinese Communist Party has the General Political Department. They call it the Liaison Department. We heard about Russian interference in elections. The General Political Department of the Chinese Communist Party, under its Liaison Department, is a full-scale operation for political warfare. It has an entire military branch dedicated to political warfare. The exact thing that people were trying to warn about with Russia. There's an entire military branch under the Chinese regime dedicated to that.
And I believe they've also been here in Austin, Texas. As what these guys do is they try to corrupt governors, and I presume mayors. Pompeo went out and spoke to the governors about this specifically months ago.
Yes, we had a clip of him doing it
months ago, and he said, "Hey, they got a name with your list on it, who's friendly." Last year, 2018. Austin's mayor, the Honorable Stephen Adler, led an economic development mission to Asia with the Texas Growth Fund. And I don't know who paid for it and these things, it's usually pretty good to have foreign investment in your city. Spotlight, innovation set to propel U.S. cities' Austin ties with China. Okay, that's all fine. But then I see the headline, while Austin's in crisis, this is from January 25th, mayor escapes on lavish holiday. He posted pictures of himself and his family. Now, this is before Corona really hit, so we really didn't know that this was a bad thing. He had a lavish holiday in China. And you just got to think, gee, I'd love to see the receipts. Did you pay for all of that yourself? Mayor
Seems
Adler?
Highly unlikely.
I would think it's highly unlikely as well. So I'd like to know about that. But this is what's going on, even in our little Texas town. Now to the cultural part.
And so the bigger picture during the Cold War with the Soviet Union, between the U.S. and the Soviet Union mainly, was what the Soviets called ideological subversion. This is the idea of how do you wage war on a country? How do you spark revolutions in a country? How do you change the culture of a country without waging open warfare on them? And so these days they have what they call short of war tactics, where you're pushing.
Here's your bit.
You're pushing your aggression and your hostilities right to the boundary of what would constitute open warfare, but you never cross that line. So Russia does it, Iran does it, many countries do it. China's very aggressive on it. The Chinese regime, they would call it unrestricted warfare. It outlines 3 different categories of warfare: non-military, trans-military, and unconventional military. And it includes things like economic warfare. It includes things like culture warfare, drug warfare, psychological warfare. So drug warfare, for example, where does fentanyl come from? Where do these synthetic drugs come from? They come from China. Where do the drug cartels in Latin America get their precursor chemicals from? China. In fact, there was an interesting story just recently saying that the cartels are having trouble manufacturing the drugs right now because they were getting their ingredients from a factory in Wuhan, where the epicenter of the virus is. They can't get their ingredients for their drugs right now. What is culture warfare? It is how do you impact the culture of a country? Who controls Hollywood right now? Who controls a lot of the talent houses? The Chinese Communist Party, through their different companies, they control a lot of the talent houses. AMC Theaters is under one of their major companies. If films want to get into the Chinese market, which they need these days for the box office, they have to follow all the Chinese regime's regulations on films. This includes supporting, core socialist values, as the CCP would call it. And because the standards are so tight and also not clearly defined, which means that a lot of them have incentive to go above and beyond normal censorship, but self-censorship. Some of them even co-produce films with Chinese studios so that they can be sure that they're in line with what the Chinese regime is looking for.
And I can draw the obvious conclusion that the investments from the CCP in Twitter, Facebook, Google's expansive relationships, that they are self-censoring. They're censoring, at first I thought it was only for the ads, but just imagine what kind of trouble the CCP can mean for Reddit, who basically got a saving investment of, was it $300 million? Hey, you want us to freeze the Donald Trump? No problem. Frozen. Got it for you. Whatever they want, they'll do it. People are flawed. They're lame. This has a name. The struggle session. I got this from the Book of Knowledge. Struggle session was a form of public humiliation and torture that was used by the Communist Party of China at various times in the Mao era, particularly years immediately before and after the establishment of the People's Republic of China and during the Cultural Revolution. The aim of a struggle session was to shape public opinion and humiliate, persecute, or execute political rivals and those deemed class enemies. This is pretty textbook stuff. And it didn't happen just overnight. It's not like China woke up and went, hey. But think about it. Who really owns it? It's been going on for
decades.
Oh, yeah. Especially what we saw.
And when Trump got in to screw things up, they had to put it in high gear.
That's right. And so
they have to get him out.
Yes, I agree. And the guy, I don't have it in these clips. The guy says the problem is that the one thing they can't control is what the Chinese people see happening here. Because the Great Firewall of China is, of course, bullcrap. There's a lot of ways around it. You can't actually segregate in the way they're doing it, China from the rest of the internet. And stuff gets in. If it has to be smuggled in a thumb drive in someone's butt, stuff is getting in. What they can't have is having the Chinese people, who are very happy in general, I believe, because they came from 30 years ago from crap. And now it's decent, and they got phones, and they got, McDonald's, traffic jams. They got all the great stuff now. Is they can't see that it's so much better over here with our stupid ideology of capitalism. So that's why it has to be stopped at all costs, because they will not be able to hold their own people. So that's why. And we have the psychological warfare.
You talk about psychological warfare. Psychological warfare isn't just lying to you. It's not just propaganda as we would normally think of it. Psychological warfare is changing the way you interpret information so that you and I could be looking at the exact same set of data and we would come to wildly different conclusions on it. So, for example, with this virus right now, this pandemic, you're looking at the Chinese regime's handling of the virus. We're looking at the exact same data. Now, do you interpret it as being a sign, the Chinese regime did all it could in its power, it took very strong measures to ensure that the virus didn't spread, and the rest of the world is just being unfair to it? Or do you think the Chinese regime lied to the world, the Chinese regime, arrested doctors, disappeared journalists, and these types of things? If you were following only the information the CCP was releasing and some of the organizations that support the CCP, what they were saying, you would view it in line of the CCP's, pro-CCP viewpoint. If you were following all the real data, for example, their cover-ups, their lying to the world, their manipulation of data and numbers, you would understand, okay, they were misleading the world, they were very dishonest about it, and no, absolutely, they did not handle it well. The idea that they handled it well, you would only believe that if you believed all of the lies they were telling the world, most of which have been exposed.
And isn't that kind of exactly what we're seeing here? Aren't we seeing people watching the same movie but coming away with two different ideas of what happened?
Yeah, this is Dimension A, Dimension B. One movie, two interpretations.
Yep. And I had this very strongly with the Atlanta cop shooting. Because before anyone was out there laying down all of their prognostications, etc., I had watched all the body camera footage, and to me it was quite apparent what happened. And even under the legal definition of deadly use of force, it was unfortunate, but I don't think it was murder. But then we get all these interpretations from other video, and it looks like he kicked him, and there's omissions. Even Tucker Carlson played the video where the cop is chasing the guy. He turns around, the turnaround shooting the taser. They went to black before that, so you only see running and shots. It's unbelievable. Fox News completely complicit in this. Completely.
Wow, yeah. I didn't see this.
He did it last night again, 2 nights in a row. When he shows the video, you see the guy running away, Rayshard, And you see the cop behind him, and he turns. You don't even see that. You just hear the firing, and it's black with audio only. Oh, it's despicable. Tina and I fell off the couch. But anyway, it's being interpreted even by the mayor of Atlanta, coming up with a completely different story. Not at all that the guy was passed out. The people were afraid of him in the Wendy's. He was in the line. Cop comes over, wakes him up. Guy passes out again, wakes him up again. Hey, man, drive your car over there. He drives onto the grass. It's totally wasted. And that's a violation. But no, he should have let him go home to his daughters. And so they're building this whole narrative around it, which if you only saw what the first bit from someone else, that's my interpretation.
Well, you know what almost happened? I do have the clip. You can play it. This is the Atlanta cops, which wasn't played by any of the media. I mean, I tried to find it, but I had to go right to the ABC station in Atlanta to play this clip. This is the Atlanta cops. Almost went on strike.
Also breaking tonight, the Atlanta police now addressing reports of an officer walkout. This comes after reports of evening watch patrol officers ending their shifts abruptly, turning in their keys to their patrol cars, and going home. APD just minutes ago responding to the reports, calling them inaccurate. The department is acknowledging a higher than usual number of call-outs with the incoming shift. Police say they do have enough resources to maintain operations and remain able to respond to incidents. And this comes just hours after former Atlanta officer Garrett Rolfe was charged. Those charges include felony murder, 3 counts of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, and 7 counts of violation of an officer's oath. Fulton County District Attorney Paul Howard is recommending he not be granted bond. The DA says there is no justification for the shooting.
We've concluded at the time Mr. Brooks was shot that he did not pose an immediate threat of death.
What's interesting, just to interrupt this, that the same prosecutor in Atlanta, 1 week ago, he was saying that a taser is a deadly weapon and should not be used by police. He was saying it was an absolutely lethal, deadly weapon. That was his argument 1 week ago. Yet pointing it at someone and firing it is not menacing.
Serious physical injury to the officer or officers.
The DA says the other officer, Devin Brosnan, has agreed to testify against Rolfe for the prosecution. But CNN says tonight Brosnan's attorney denies that he has agreed to testify or plead guilty. Brosnan faces 3 charges: aggravated assault for standing on Rayshard Brooks' shoulders, and then 2 counts of violating his oath of office. District Attorney Howard has recommended a $50,000 bond.
So without getting into that, just quickly, I want to get to your new abnormal. What is happening in education is really, we need to look at it very closely, and what are your children being taught? Teen Vogue has an article out this week. Who is Karl Marx? Meet the anti-capitalist scholar. The communist scholar ideas are more prevalent than you might realize. And they go into this, of course he was, even though it was really Engels who wrote it, and Marx was basically a blogger. But okay. They really hype him up, talk about all these other great pieces of work that he did, 3 volumes of Das Kapital, which of course eventually turned into the First International. I mean, all these, it's a socialist ideology. And here we have a quote: public high school teacher Mark Brunt teaches excerpts from the Communist Manifesto alongside curriculum about the Industrial Revolution in his English class. He uses The Jungle by Upton Sinclair, published in 1906, that revealed the exploitative workplace conditions of the meat industry in Chicago. So he does role-playing with his class. But you got to wonder, what are these kids walking away with?
I wonder if that same teacher talks about Upton Sinclair. I'm very familiar with him.
I know you are. I know you are.
He that late in his life, he mentioned that The Jungle was largely fictionalized and most of it was bullshit.
No, I'm sure he mentioned that to the children.
I probably don't think so.
You're right. When I teach Marx, it's got a lot to do with questions of how to think critically about history. Marx says we live under capitalism, but capitalism has not always existed. It goes on and on and on. So
this is in Teen Vogue.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Zoom acknowledges it suspended activist accounts at China's request, says NPR. And there's even the 45 communist goals for America that is resurfacing. That's when I was born that came out. So these things are, and it's not bad to have. It's good to learn all kinds of ideologies, of course. It's just how is it being presented? And do parents agree with it? I don't care if I agree with it. It's your kids.
Yeah, your kid.
It's your kids.
You want your kids learning about being radicalized?
Yeah, that's pretty much what's going on. But, it's
right under your noses.
Right under your noses, exactly. So I feel that there is a huge influence right down to little Austin, Texas, from the Chinese Communist Party. And who knows what part of the culture. They were supposed to be very involved with South by Southwest this year. Of course, that fell through. Now I'm thinking Adler probably canceled because they told him to. Ultimately, it was a good decision, I guess, because the surge is back. We're all dying here in Austin, right?
Yeah, I understood that. Yeah, 95-degree weather.
Oh yeah, no, we're totally dying. Actually, if you want to hear it, it's kind of funny. Where was it? Here it is. Yes, he was on NPR. NPR, our mayor was. About actually, I should set this up just a little bit. The governor has not made masks mandatory. Now we're going through the surge, which means we've gone up to, I think, 22 people who have been hospitalized per day. 22. Was 3 million people in Texas? 22. Of course, retail is opening up again. And what is every retailer doing? Whether there's suspicion and some just to get started because they promise it, they're doing testing. And they're testing employees. 98% has zero symptoms. But yeah, it's a test. And oh my God, it's going up. What are we going to do? It's the surge. Stay indoors. So Adler, the Mayor Adler.
Put a time code down for that.
I will. Mayor Adler wrote a note with, I think, 8 other Texas mayors. Like, hey, man. I know we can't supersede you because, it's law and shit, but could we at least make masks mandatory, please? So I think they've come to some kind of compromise where it can be enforced in retail locations. But when Adler was on NPR, I found this to be very interesting, in particular how he winds it up and ultimately tells you why you need to wear a mask.
Texas Governor Greg Abbott is sticking with a plan for a phased reopening. Austin, Texas would rather not. Mayor Steve Adler extended a stay-at-home order yesterday amid news of rising coronavirus cases. Mayor Adler's on the line. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Steve.
And I guess we should mention this can only be stay-at-home advice, actually, right? You can't give an order.
That's certainly the conventional wisdom.
No, it's the law.
We've been preempted by the state. So,
preempted? No, it's the law.
At this point, I can just make recommendations to the community and recognize that the community actually chooses what happens, regardless of what the governor allows or doesn't allow. Our individual choices add up to what our community response is.
And apparently he knows exactly what that is.
Well, how serious is the increase in cases where you are?
It's at the beginning of what looks like a surge to us.
Oh, yes, he said it. The surge, a little surge. It's the beginning of a surge. We're testing retail employees, you dick.
Confirmed cases are up 90% this week over last week. Our new hospital admissions up 58% week to week.
From 12 to 22.
Yes, we should mention that Governor Greg Abbott declined to order the use of face masks. The CDC, I believe, has recommended them, but President Trump declines to wear them. Do you see a lot of face masks around Austin?
Oh, yeah.
In places, you'll go into some of our grocery stores and everyone's wearing a mask, employees and customers alike. But you go into other places.
Now, that's not true. That is just not true. Both at H-E-B and now at Whole Foods. People are not wearing masks. Whole Foods is almost 100%. H-E-B, 60%. That's really our Texas local grocer. 60% have masks. No one has a problem. I went to the car wash yesterday for the first time in months. I walk in, and the young lady there behind the counter has no mask on. And I say, hey, that's really refreshing. I get to see a face. She says, yes, I typically mirror the client. So if they walk in with a face mask, she'll put the mask on. And this is how ridiculous it is. No one's believing this, but okay, let's go.
Restaurants or some of the clubs, you go in and you see you don't see any. I think we can.
Yeah, please wear a mask while you're eating.
And open up, or at least try to open up parts of the economy if people would just
follow orders.
Wear the face coverings. I know it's inconvenient. I know it's hot. I know it's a nuisance.
It's not helpful.
I know it's all of those things. And it's hard to do, and people don't like it. But at the same time, our community has to decide just how much we value the lives of folks in our community that are over 65 and older. We have to decide how much we value the lives of the communities of color that are suffering disproportionately because of this virus.
Yes, that's it. If you don't wear a mask, you're racist. Thank you. That's what I was waiting for. I'm a racist. That guy is so getting voted out. I might as well do the mask. I might as well do the mask. I got 2 clips and then we're done. Fauci lied to us and he doesn't give a shit. And he's admitting he lied.
This isn't news. Fauci had lied from day one with the hydroxychloroquine.
Admitting he lied. He's admitting he lied in this clip. And it's about face masks. Because if you recall, in the beginning, no, don't worry about the mask. Really doesn't help. Don't need it that much. And he was asked about this.
What about a month or so, or 2 or 3 ago, when people were saying, you don't really need to wear a mask? Well, the reason for that is that...
By the way, he says people... that was CDC officials. It might have been you, Fauchmeister.
Wear a mask. Well, the reason for that is that we were concerned, the public health community, and many people were saying this, were concerned that it was at a time when personal protective equipment, including the N95 masks and the surgical masks, were in very short supply. And we wanted to make sure that the people, namely the healthcare workers, who were brave enough to put themselves in harm's way to take care of people who were infected with the coronavirus and the danger of them getting infected. We did not want them to be without the equipment that they needed. So there was not enthusiasm about going out and everybody buying a mask or getting a mask. We were afraid that would deter away from the people who really needed it.
So instead of saying, American people, please do not buy a mask right now. We're working on the problem. It's very important that our first line healthcare workers have the proper mask. Please do not buy anything yet. Just hold on for a second. We're working on it. No, you didn't trust the American people. Instead, you had to lie.
Now we have masks. We know that you don't need an N95 if you're a ordinary person in the street. We also know that simple cloth coverings that many people have can work as well as a mask in many cases. So right now, unequivocally, the recommendation is when you're out there, particularly if you're in a situation where there's active infection, keep the distance physically and wear a mask. So although there appear to be some contradiction of you were saying this then, and why you're saying this now, actually the circumstances have changed. That's the reason why.
I find that baffling. Oh, okay. Well, thanks. We were too stupid, so that's why you had to lie to us. But it turned out they actually were kind of important, and we could have used any kind of face covering. So annoying, this guy. And confirmed, it is indeed his wife who is in charge of exemptions for biologics, I think is what it's called, for vaccines. Miss Grady, not even the same last name. Now, go ahead and ask at the dinner table. You even ask your millennials there. Say, do you think that's a conflict of interest? I think they'll say yes. So the guy who was running the vaccine industry almost gets approval for exemptions for biologics, which are vaccines, so they don't have to go through rigorous testing and they get indemnification. It's his wife. I don't know. Seems odd to me. Seems odd. Anyway, this has spilled over so vastly, this mask bull crap, that now
the mask thing's out of control.
As you predicted. No, you didn't even predict. You recognized it. Mask on, Democrat, mask off Republican Nadler held session yesterday, and this is what happened.
The gentleman yields back. I want to announce that in accordance with what I said this morning, the attending physician of the House has said that it is imperative for the health and safety of people in this room that members wear masks. I would greatly prefer that all present simply uphold the decorum of the committee by complying with reasonable safety standards that are recommended by the attending physician and are respectful of all the occupants of this room. I have been greatly lenient today. However, I will tell you now that anyone who is not wearing a mask will not be recognized to speak, period. Who seeks recognition?
Mr. Chairman.
Ms. Escobar.
So that's a Republican who's calling. He seeks recognition.
Mr. Chairman.
Ms. Escobar was next.
Mr. Chairman, a point of parliamentary.
Ms. Escobar is recognized.
Ms.
Escobar.
He's basically skipping right over the Republican as he just threatened to do because, you don't have a mask. I'm not even recognizing you.
McClintock has tried repeatedly to make his point. Repeatedly.
Ms. Escobar has the time.
Mr.
Thank
Chairman.
you, Mr. No, it's our side. You just had a Democrat speak. It's our
Ms.
turn.
Escobar has the time.
He's such an idiot that he just skips over the Republicans altogether.
Ms. Escobar.
No, she doesn't.
Ms. Escobar has the time.
Mr. Chairman.
Ms. Escobar has the time.
I think Mr. Lulu just spoke.
Yeah,
it's Republicans' turn, and Mr. McClintock has tried now for several minutes to be recognized on a point of order.
There's no point of order, but who seeks recognition to speak?
Mr. Chairman, I seek recognition for a point of parliamentary inquiry.
This gentleman will state his point of parliamentary inquiry.
I would like the chairman to cite the House rule requiring members to wear masks in House proceedings. If we had such a vote, I don't recall it. If we have such a vote, I will vote against it, but I will be happy to abide by it if the House so decides. Until then, I would like you to cite me that rule since I obviously missed that vote.
The chair's authority to enforce the preservation of order and decorum during committee proceedings derives from the Speaker's enforcement authority under Clause 2 of Rule 1.
And then went on for minutes talking about who had the right to require masks. This is so unproductive. The rotting fish head right there, Jerry Nadler. Kneel, Jerry. Oh, I'm sorry, you can't.
Nadler, the guy who
He can't kneel.
He'd never get up.
He can't kneel. So, and as you know, I just to tie it all up, Fauci, of course, had a lab in Wuhan. So the CCP, and I really am trying to be careful not saying China, but saying the CCP, Chinese Communist Party, these are not our friends. And they have
we need to reinstall the House Un-American Activities Committee from the 50s. We're trying to root out the communists.
Well, let's get the church committee and everything in there while we're at it. There's a lot of things we need to resurrect.
Besides Nadler just going, all he does is just looking to slam Trump. That's his whole goal in life. He's not doing any good in the Judiciary Committee.
No.
And the whole Democrat-run Congress or House is useless.
Pretty much.
Or they've all sold out. I mean, it's frightening how much they've sold out. I saw a snippet of one of the Rogan episodes where he goes after these stupid a-holes who did that clip that I provided a few shows ago. I'm responsible. My fault.
The Hollywood
that black and white thing.
yeah.
And him and a couple of other Hollywood folk, they just ripped these people.
And rightly so. Rightly so.
And meanwhile, there's a whole bunch of parodies about it and all the rest of it. The Chinese have not taken over the place yet.
CCP.
Or the CCP. I should say CCP.
Yeah, we really should.
It'll take me a while.
Yeah, me too.
But, and I don't think it's that important. Chinese, we know what we're talking about. But these a-holes have been problematic. When we were at Mevio, there was some demonstration, and there was local media concern that the Chinese were somehow involved with this demonstration, like the Chinese nationals.
No.
And I went outside during this thing, and there was a bunch of Chinese going by, and I know the difference between a local California Chinese. Not that they don't all look alike. The local Chinese look a lot different than some guy that just stepped off an airplane
don't
landing from Beijing.
Don't say
it's a
boat,
different
man.
type of person.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Oh, totally. Their culture is so incredibly different when it comes to public, personal space, manners that we consider manners. So it's just different. That's fine. And as we've discussed on the show before, if you bring it to their attention, say, "Hey, man, give me some space. That's what we do here." "Oh, I'm sorry." They'll back off right away. They don't know it. But the CCP, yeah, these guys are no good. So let's talk about the new abnormal, because I'm sure it ties into this.
Well, this is curious, because I ended up with way too many clips, but they're all good. The problem is the way I do my clips, for some reason I put the new abnormal and new abnormal, making me think I had less clips, but now it turns out I have tons.
As long as you let me know which one has a "the" in front of it, we're good.
Okay, well, this is a new abnormal, and this is the one that just says new abnormal and advertising, and this is the longest clip. This is the backgrounder.
So then talk about your pivot to Tucker.
So Tucker didn't come till later.
Stop.
Little setup. Little setup is needed.
Yeah, let me do a setup. The New Abnormal is a podcast with Rick Wilson, one of the guys from the Lincoln Project, who claims to be a Republican strategist when he apparently hates Fox News, he hates Trump, he hates every Republican that's ever existed, and he's just a Democrat.
Well, who did he work for? I mean, surely he has some Republican credibility then from the past.
No, not that I know of.
Rick Wilson. I'll check him out.
Look him up. And then he's working with this woman, Molly, what's her name? Molly Jong Fast, and she is Erica Jong's daughter. And she is kind of I don't know, I can't describe her, but she sounds like a witch the way she laughs. and she's a Democrat socialist. And she has she outed her. I don't have a lot of respect for her, because she outed her mom in a Salon magazine article because she got married and she's not like a libertine like she called her mom, and talked about how her mom, Erica Jong, a famous writer about sex, used to wander around the house naked. And then they had a bunch of open threesomes.
I have a clip of her here. I have a clip of her during an open threesome.
I'll get you, my pretty, and your little dog, too.
That's her.
And so and then she mentioned she had, I guess she apparently had Betty Friedan, from the sounds of it, over for a threesome, and it was just a disgusting description of the whole thing.
What is going on?
So Molly here is the co-host of this podcast, and they go about you got New Abnormal and Advertising, and New Abnormal and Advertising Tucker. Which were the ones were you playing there?
Tucker. You want the regular?
No.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I see it. It came first in the rundown. All right. Yes, okay. I see. It is longer. Okay, here we go.
Hey folks, with us today is Matt Rivets, the founder of Sleeping Giants, which is an online campaign to defund hate and bigotry in the media. They have been doing absolutely amazing work in pressuring advertisers to get off sites like Breitbart and shows like the Tucker Carlson Frozen Fish Racism Hour and Frau Ingraham's White Power Hour on Fox. They are bringing this pressure.
Wait, this is Rick Wilson?
Yeah.
Frau Ingraham. I have to hand it to him. I like it. Frau Ingraham. This is
great. And you go back it up a little, because his Tucker thing was even funnier. The White Power Hour.
The Dead Fish White Power Hour. Let me see.
Dead Fish.
Doing absolutely amazing work in pressuring advertisers to get off sites like Breitbart and shows like the Tucker Carlson Frozen Fish Racism Hour.
Frozen Fish Racism Hour. I don't even know what that means, but he's jocking it up. That's kind of cool.
And Frau Ingraham's White Power Hour on Fox. They are bringing this pressure on social media that's actually managed to drive real results. And we're delighted to have Matt with us.
Matt, I'm so excited that you're here today.
No, I love podcasts that have a voice like that.
I'm a big fan of Sleeping Giants. And I'm curious, can you talk about how you got started with this? Because it's a new kind of thing.
Yeah, and I'm kind of confused how it all started myself. It was all very quick. It was just after the election in 2016. I just got sort of fascinated with Steve Bannon, because I felt like he was a real dangerous guy, and he was using racism as a tool. And to me, it wasn't a political thing. It was I'm scared of racism and anti-Semitism thing. And I had never been to Breitbart before, really. I wasn't that familiar with it. I went the first time, and those articles blew my mind in a really big way. And I just didn't think that you could print that kind of stuff and couch it as news. So I'm in advertising. I still am. I'm a copywriter. And I went on to see who was supporting it from an ad perspective and found out that it was kind of every advertiser in the world. It was just the way that ads are displayed online and things are monetized online, like Google and Facebook have these ad networks where they place all these brands all over the internet without any kind of care for the brand, or they don't even know where they're going to land most of the time. So I had set up this anonymous Twitter handle with an anonymous Gmail account and took a screenshot of one of the articles. I think it was "Hoisted high and proud, the Confederate flag proclaims a glorious heritage," famous line, and next to an ad for a loan company called SoFi. And I just tweeted it to the CEO and to the corporate handle, because I had always heard that if you on Twitter and you complain to an airline, if you're sitting on the runway for 2 hours and they just give you like 20,000 miles just for complaining. So I'm pretty good at complaining. So
Me too.
Yeah, no, I'm great at it. And so I just tweeted it to the company. I said, do you support this? Because at the time, Steve Bannon said it was the platform for the alt-right. And I said, are you supporting the platform for the alt-right? Is that something you want to do? And they got back to me within, a day. And then this thing just got started, and it just kept going and going further than I ever thought. I was joined by Nandini Jami, who's been working on this almost from the beginning. And it's been really wild. Other people have joined in, and, not just on Twitter, but to do other stuff and to do some research. And it's been a crazy, wild ride that just continues to go, despite the fact that I would love to hop off of it.
Does he make money with this?
At this point, I don't know, but I do know he's got a professionally designed logo, which is a fist, a clenched fist, which is a socialist symbol.
A cultural appropriation at best.
Well, there's some of that. And I don't know if he makes money. He still works as an advertising guy, so I can't say for sure.
Okay.
I would say we could go to well, let's see, we can go a couple different ways. Play the new abnormal RW1, and I just want to play this.
He's never thought about it before. He also isn't a good reader. Even on the prompter, he's not a good reader. The only time
skip it. We'll come back to that. I don't know what. Let's go to the new abnormal and advertising Tucker. This is the one you were playing originally.
So then talk about your pivot to Tucker.
So Tucker didn't come till later, but the next one was really Bill O'Reilly. And, all those articles came out that said Bill O'Reilly, was sexually harassing women at Fox, and the network had settled $32 million in sexual harassment suits for him or something. And so there was a big outcry on it, because it's really a community that everyone's like, we should do something about this. So I put out a poll, and everyone said, yeah, we got to get involved in this. So I was like, shit, I don't want to tangle with Fox, really. That seems really scary, but I just think we decided let's go for it. And it was we just created these Bill O'Reilly facts. So things that he had said over time, things about his settlements, etc. And we just tweeted those out to advertisers and said, do you support this? And within 2 weeks, 40 of them had left. And there were other organizations involved too in that, but 40 advertisers had left, and then he went on a vacation and never came back. And so it was like, that was a real eye-opening thing, because this is just a Twitter handle and a Facebook page. That's all it is. There's no real organization. There's no funding, no anything. And so just to sit here and go, wow, like I'm on my phone, and all of a sudden this guy that's got the #1 show on cable that's being a horrendous person is suddenly gone. It just, all we're doing is appealing.
No, I bet he felt good.
To their brands and appealing to their corporate policies and providing information. And that seems to work.
This is sort of asymmetric warfare, is you guys hit, move, and they can't hold up their own behavior to the light. That's why I think that a lot of the corporate folks that I've talked to about your effort and others have said things like, well, look, I've got to sell X or Y to 60 pluses. I got to be on Fox. But there comes a point where that cost-benefit equation flips over, and I think we're kind of past it now.
As you said, they've been looking for eyeballs for so long and just chasing a demographic, and they don't think that what they're paying for is actually, they're investing in more of that, and that it can bounce back on their brands pretty significantly. So the advertisers haven't thought this way before, but now, I mean, especially on the internet, they're paying for the free internet. So what they choose to invest in is what's going to win, and it's going to be the thing that's pushed forward. Unfortunately for them, they don't know where they're landing a lot of the time, but there are all these studies that basically say that brands showing up on negative content dramatically affect consumers' view of these brands.
So just to be clear, this is not, Media Matters is not the actual noodle gun. what happens is all these companies who
this
virtue
is Sleeping Giants, not Media
Oh, I'm
Matters.
sorry, Sleeping Giants. Well, neither are. It's once they've done their job, the brands, everyone goes away, starts to virtue signal. Then when they're still doing something bad, that's when the noodle gun strikes. But this is the setup, and this has been going on. Yeah, I mean, but Sleeping Giants stands on the shoulders of Media Matters, which started with the Clintons, I think.
Yes, but Media Matters is old-fashioned.
Yes, I agree.
This is a modern thing this guy's doing, but he says he kind of invented it. But no, this was done by the right-wingers years ago these Christian operations.
Yeah.
And for some reason, they all kind of stopped doing it, and there's been no counter to Sleeping Giants. And he talks about, this was a long interview, by the way, and he goes on and on about how this formed in Brazil because they're out to get Bolsonaro. It's just a bunch of lefties that are intimidating advertisers left and right. And the right has done nothing to counter any of it, and these guys have been losing their jobs left and right.
Yeah,
that was Tucker, right? Now try it. The new abnormal Tucker 2.
Okay, hold on a second. The new abnormal.
Not the.
Oh, got it.
So Fox right now, your folks you're looking at Fox right now are basically Tucker and Frau Ingraham.
Yeah, I mean, they're both horrendous. It's every night, someone called it the white power hour, and I don't think that's that far off. It's not even coded so much anymore. And if I'm a brand, I don't understand why any brand would want to be associated with that. I understand they're probably going to get a great deal on eyeballs right now, but why would you associate with someone that says that white supremacy is a hoax? I just don't get that as a brand, especially these brands that are right now, they're doing these Black Lives Matter tweets and diversity and inclusion clauses very public on their website. That's how this works. It's just like, okay, you're advertising on Tucker Carlson, but it says on your site here that you strongly believe in diversity and inclusion. So why would you sponsor that? And so that's always the logic,
Yeah, we understand your logic.
Let's lift them by their own petard. Let's play. He talks about Kellogg, and there is a gotcha in their strategy, and they discuss it in this clip, which is the new abnormal, or not just new abnormal, Kellogg and Sinclair.
Besides Kellogg's, who did you find were the sort of big ones where you got them and you were like, it sort of turned the tide?
It was endless. I mean, I had people from Mars that were wanting to talk on the phone and said, these are our 10 brands that we're going to remove from here, and we would like you to announce this very publicly because we want everyone to know that's not what we support. And that's the goal. You want brands to come out and not be in favor of racism and not.
This is a white guy, I presume. This is the difference. What an idiot. This guy is a total idiot. Have you never seen Al Sharpton? Have you never watched Jesse Jackson? That's your business model. You could be so successful with this if you only pressured him for some money. Now you're doing it for free.
The thing, that's the most dangerous part about it.
Yeah.
This guy thinks he's doing the world a favor. And when he talks about Tucker, he says, I can't believe they wouldn't. There's other aspects of this because I listened to the
the clip isn't over. I just interrupted it. So there's more to the clip.
I just want to bring this in.
Mm-hmm.
He talks about these it may be in this clip, but I don't know. He talks about, I don't understand how people would advertise next to a source of disinformation. He calls Tucker's show a bunch of disinformation. He says the same thing with Ingram's show, disinformation. But
white supremacists.
But unlike us, where we take a clip and just dissect it and showing that is where the trickery is, they never
there's never any
examples
proof.
of this.
No. They just say it. They just say, oh, yeah, white supremacist. That's the Tucker Carlson. He's the white supremacist. I know because I've been called that because I said I watched him. Oh, you're a white supremacist. Oh, okay. All right.
Not be in favor of disinformation. And I think that's happening more and more.
There
I think
it is.
the last
Yeah. Actually, I'll roll it back a little bit so we can hear what he says. This is pretty good. What a moron.
everyone to know that's not what we support. And like, that's the goal. You know, you want brands to come out and not be in favor of racism and not be in favor of disinformation.
What brand goes out and says, I'm in favor of racism, buy my product, please?
And I think that's happening more and more. I think the last 2 weeks, especially, there's a real awakening around this. And this is like the Super Bowl we've been getting ready for the last 3.5 years. It's like, okay, brands finally get it. What they choose to support with their media dollars really, drives the conversation.
So I know that we look at Fox as like the big, it is the Mount Everest of right-wing racist agitprop. But have you guys sort of
right-wing racist agitprop?
That's what he said.
I want that on a business card.
Right-wing racist agitprop.
Right, I gotta write it down. It's so fantastic. I like the guy what he comes up with. Right-wing racist agitprop. I guess
he's very creative.
Yeah, he does that on the fly.
Usage, yes,
I'm impressed.
It's like the big, it is the Mount Everest of right-wing racist agitprop. But have you guys started to look at Sinclair? Because they're sort of more stealthy. They're more at the local station level, and they're doing the same kind of content.
Not really. I mean, it's a much more complicated thing, right? It's like it's all wrapped up in local news, and it is crazy dangerous. But again, this thing has been really focused on racism and hate, and so it's also just hard to see all that stuff. There's so many channels, and there's so many people saying things. We're in an information war right now, and disinformation is a huge problem. And I'm really hoping that like industry groups get together and advertising and say, what do we believe in here?
Now that I think about it, Mike, the My Pillow guy, all of a sudden he started selling sheets. Just saying. He may be a KKK sheet supplier. I think we should discuss that. This guy doesn't seem like he's on the level.
All right. Let's play. Now, this one has this is the new abnormal RW1, and then we'll follow that with 2.
He's never thought about it before. He also isn't a good reader. Even on the prompter, he's not.
That's about talking about Tucker, right?
No, he's talking about Trump.
Oh, okay. We'll go back again.
He's never thought about it before. He also isn't a good reader. Even on the prompter, he's not a good reader. The only time Trump comes across as seeming like he's engaged with the material is in the asides, is in the ad libs.
The racism.
Yes, the racism. Oh, my goodness. Yeah. Nice. So
I found that little clip to be the most interesting of the whole thing.
Just threw it right in there for no reason. Just like Tourette's. Racism.
Yeah, ad-libbing equals racism.
Hey, stick to the script, you racist. Oh, man.
So this is it actually gets worse. So this is the same.
Can I ask you a question?
The same clip,
I just want to
clip with a little more context.
Just a question. I need to ask you a question. Do you think that these people lead normal lives? They seem very obsessed with trying to find things that they can connect to
turned
racism.
Into commie agitprops.
But do you think that they're happy? I mean,
well, I wanted to say this earlier during your presentation, and I kind of lost track of it. But so I have 2 neighbors next door that are neurologists, mm-hmm. and they have houses all over the country, and they were apparently in Georgia or they're in their Florida house, and they couldn't get back through their normal New Yorker route, and they just moved back into the house next door. And so
which means you had to take your car out of the driveway, which is a bummer.
I'm sorry?
Which means you had to take your car out of their driveway. Isn't that what always happens?
No, they actually keep a car in the driveway.
Oh, okay.
So so one of them, the woman is on the balcony, and she says hi to me because I'm in the, with earshot, and I come over and chat with her a little bit, and Dave, they're real liberal progressives, hate Trump. It's unbelievable. Mm-hmm. And they were in Florida, and they went along with the whole thing locked down. So they never left the house. And they just went along with the program.
Right.
And I was looking at her. She looks
sick.
I'm actually concerned.
Yeah,
I think she could drop dead at any point.
How old are they?
Oh, they're probably in their early 70s.
Mm-hmm. Oh, goodness. Yeah, it's very bad to be at home.
White as a sheet.
Ugh.
Unhealthy looking. It looks like you're looking at a zombie, a dead person. And I'm thinking this is interesting because Democrats and all their mask wearing, they breathe a lot of carbon dioxide in those masks. Not good for you.
Yeah.
Like putting a bag over your head. And
and not for good stuff. Not for fun and games.
They're the ones that are suffering the consequences. Not the Republicans who don't wear the mask and cheat and go outside and let the Karens call them in.
Exactly.
So they're like killing their own.
Or culling. Culling.
It could be culling.
Yeah.
All right, so here's that same clip, only there's a little extension to it. This is the new abnormal RW2.
Is in the asides, is in the ad libs.
The racism. He really comes alive when he gets to say racist stuff.
Look, when you see the window open into Donald Trump's ego or his id, that's when it's real. That's when you hear the real thing. And you can see those moments. And this speech, he didn't really break away from the speech much. But if you look at Trump reading off a prompter, and then when he jumps out of character.
Hold on a second. So this is still, are they still talking with the Jolly Green Giant guy?
Yeah, but they went into a tangent that I thought was amusing.
Okay, so it's in that context. So it's like racist, Frau Ingraham, white power hour, Trump. That's it? Okay, I got it.
Orange man bad. Much. But if you look at Trump reading off a prompter, and then when he jumps out of character, where he's playing the president, like a guy you wouldn't hire for a day part.
Okay. He jumps out of character? I don't understand. What character? Is he playing?
I'm just playing. I just put the clips together.
Okay. When he breaks out and he's the real Donald Trump, that's when it's genuine. But just like all these, it's like he's playing the president in a Sharknado Part 19 movie for 5 minutes and reading off the television.
Wow, a 1990 call that like the reference back.
Prompter as if he is whacked out on Thorazine.
He's basically only genuine when he's making fun of people.
Right. Or insulting people, aggrandizing himself, or stoking racial hatred.
Right. So that's when he really comes alive. The rest of the time, it's like President Zombie.
It's too much for me. This is a podcast. What a great invention.
Yeah, no kidding.
Very proud of this.
Congratulations, Mr. Curry.
Good work.
All right, so let's play now. I got two more left, and this is kind of the interesting one to me. This is the new abnormal Tucker. I think this is Tucker 3. Oh, no. Oh, we never played Tucker 3. Let's play new abnormal Tucker 3, and then I got two left. Okay.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. Who are the big advertisers? I mean, not like MyPillow and fish oil supplements. Who are the big
they're coming.
Advertisers left on those shows at night?
They're almost zero now. They're almost down to nothing, I think, from big advertisers. Sandals is probably like the biggest advertiser, which they seem to stick with them no matter what.
Sandals, Chlamydia Beach, Bahamas.
They're brands that are going to be okay with that, and that's fine. Yeah, if you want to stick with it, that's on you, and that's what you believe in, and that's fine. But most of them don't, and they've all kind of run for the hills for the most part because people are they're noticing it now. They see it, and consumers see it. Most consumers aren't down with racism. I mean, there are some for sure, but most of them aren't, and so you just want to avoid that.
I have a comment about that, but I don't know what your next clips are, so I'll hold back.
Well, let me get these two out of the way, and then you can comment. I think, by the way, that him calling it Chlamydia Beach is actionable.
Yeah,
I think
Sandals should make work of that. Yeah,
I would. Okay, now this is the part. These two clips kind of point out a certain kind of hypocrisy that these sorts of people always exhibit. They're so cocksure about everything, and so they talk and talk and talk, and so the hypocrisy just kind of comes in there because they're not looking for it. So this is the new abnormal 3 kicker.
Well, that's the reason the Daily Caller Foundation goes after you, because it's funded by anonymous tax-deductible things who don't want their fingerprints on it either, but they're certainly happy to have the little alt-right minions out there playing their little games.
Yeah. Man, I would love for some legislation to happen at some point, and I doubt that it could, that an outlet on their website will have to list their ownership on the front page, because we need to know who's funding these messages, because it doesn't matter which political ideology it is. It's just bad to have someone behind something and we don't really understand who's paying for it.
Oh, be careful what you wish for.
So he says, the one guy, this direct comes out and says, well, these anonymous jerk-offs are going out. So let's go, but, earlier, you may or may have not have missed it, but I have a 5-second sub clip after listening to this. Oh, we should have legislation about these people so we know who they are because they're all anonymous. Now, let's listen to this clip. New abnormal and advertising sub clip.
I had set up this anonymous Twitter handle with an anonymous Gmail account and took a screenshot.
Yeah, of course, anonymous. He got outed.
He started off as an anonymous guy himself.
Well, but
nobody else can do it.
But the Daily Caller outed him. That's why he's pissed off. The Daily Caller outed him, and then the New York Times got wind of it, and so then he had to come clean and admit that it was him.
Yeah, well, gee, poor baby.
Yeah. Well, here's kind of the funny part of this. Variety did a piece about this. So the advertisers, when they're pressured by Sleeping Giants or Media Matters or whoever, but Sleeping Giants, they call up Fox and they say, hey, Fox, reallocate. And so Fox just reallocates that commercial into a different time slot that is not being pressured. And so basically anything but Tucker Carlson. Actually, their media spend remains the same. They do not spend any less money, and the exposure, it's not during Tucker's show, but it actually gives Fox News the opportunity to sell ads, even if they're the MyPillow guy, to other entities. They are making more money because of this. That's what I find the funniest.
Well, they think they're doing everyone a favor. And
yeah, well, not with that trick. That's not working. Advertisers, like, yeah, sure. But they're not pulling their ads. They're getting the same reach. They're getting the same ratings, just not identifiable in that particular segment. And
most of Fox's content is pretty neutral. I mean,
yeah,
Brett
I'd say so.
Bear, I mean, it's just like any other newscast.
Yeah, I'd say so. Well, Hannity is anything but neutral. He's just
I'm glad you mentioned that because this came to mind. I was watching something yesterday, and I was watching Hannity interviewing
Trump,
Lindsey Graham.
Oh, yes, that was before Trump came on, right?
And exactly. And I said, well, this is interesting. Hannity is never mentioned as a target.
No.
I know that Limbaugh was targeted once, and he wormed his way out of it. But Hannity, I don't recall, and Hannity is the tub thumper for the Republican Party.
I know. I don't understand why they don't target him. The only thing I can imagine is he has deep ties. I think his parents were both FBI, maybe CIA. He always wears an FBI and a CIA pin every day. He was boasting about it yesterday. He likes
to mention it.
He was boasting about it. Yeah.
Yep.
So maybe he has. I don't know. Maybe he's got some protection somehow. But he's also boring. I mean, he's like a block of granite. Just says the same thing over and over again. I was waiting for Trump, and I cut out after Lindsey Graham. I can't watch this anymore. It's too stupid. Lady G. Lindsey Graham, Lady G. You hear about that?
No.
Yeah, it was apparently he was outed for trolling for male prostitutes online.
Oh, yeah, I heard this.
Under the handle Lady G.
It's probably bull.
It probably is.
But yeah, so Hannity is never mentioned. He wasn't even mentioned. He doesn't get mentioned. No. Let alone targeted. Yes. There's something up with him.
Lindsey Graham in the streets, Lady G in the sheets.
I'm glad
I'm glad I got a kick out of it.
You amuse yourself.
Someone sent me one of our producers sent me a 43-second Rick Wilson anti-Trump rant, which he edited together. You want to hear it?
Sure.
Donald Trump has rescheduled his Juneteenth rally in Tulsa in the Oklahomistan province and has now moved it to a day later.
That's right.
And has summoned a Loya Jirga of his Trump hotties. I'm mixing all kinds of metaphors. All you Middle Eastern scholars, just let me roll. So that next Saturday, they're going to have Super Spreader Palooza. It's like a fish concert for MAGA people in Tulsa. This rally is set to be sort of a delicious, toxic slurry of everything. It's got Trump racism. It's got someone dividing the country along racial lines. At a moment where, everything's calm, racially speaking, it's got the chance to jam people into an arena to serve as plague bearers for the super spread of COVID. It's just got everything.
We should keep our eye on this guy because he's signaling where trouble's ahead. You know it's going to be a mess in Tulsa. You know it's going to be a mess. You know that they're going to strike. They're going to do something that's going to be nasty. You can just wait for it.
Look, go back to the discussion of striking and the fact that the Atlanta Police Department may have done a walkout.
Mm-hmm.
I am waiting for one of the police departments to go on strike.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised it hasn't happened already. And and it's happened before in history. In the 70s, it happened in a number of places, including New York City. The police went on strike. And this becomes a real problem for everybody.
Now, is this are all police unionized? All police departments?
A lot of police are unionized, and this is another thing that gets me. Why is the left, the talking points, the Democracy Now! Folks, the Rick Wilsons of the world, all these people, all big pro-union, and then when the police union comes along, they're not pro-union with them. Yeah. What is different about any unions or unions? If you're a pro-union person, you should like unions. Yeah. And then the first thing you hear when you're mentioned, certain people shouldn't have to unionize, government workers probably. But then the biggest unions in the world are AFSCME and SEIU, the two Service Employees International and American Federation of State Government and Municipal Workers. That's the AFSCME operation. And these are giant unions of government workers that are totally supported by the Democrat Party, but a police union is not. Now, what's the difference? You like the teachers' unions, but you don't like the police unions, because the police unions, if they decide to go on strike, everybody in an old-fashioned way, all the unions have to stop work.
Here's a question.
That's the way it's supposed to work.
So with this union, would the striking officers get some kind of wage from the union? Is that still okay? Is that still a thing? Like you go on strike?
They have a fund for it. They have a specific fund.
Because, these cops don't make a lot of money, man. They don't make a lot of money, most of them.
Well, during these riot eras, a lot of cops in some jurisdictions are making $200 an hour, so they're happy with the overtime.
Yeah, I'll send you out into the riot and give you $200 an hour.
Well, I'm not going.
Okay.
Now the point is though unions do a lot of things for the people in the union, and one of them is to keep members from getting fired. So they make a big fuss. Now, when the New York Teachers Union has a teacher who's getting fired, they put him in the rubber room where he just gets paid his full salary and doesn't do any work, and that's apparently okay. But when a policeman's union keeps a cop from getting fired for whatever reason, that's bad. So how is it bad? You make up your minds. If you're going to be pro-union, you have to be all in, which means that the police union is as legitimate as any other union. It's a union. It keeps cops from getting fired. It defends policemen's rights. It does all the things that unions do. And I find it baffling. And Democracy Now! Is the worst case of this, that these pro-union Trotskyites, they're all over the place, and they're all in the broadcasters. They're all everywhere. And now they're teaching kids to be Marxists, which is fantastic. They're all for all this stuff, except for this one case.
Except when they're not.
It makes no sense.
It was interesting. Troll Room gave me a lot of pushback. Oh, cops make a lot of money. They get paid a lot for driving around not doing shit. Okay, trolls. I see in $49,000 to $65,000 a year in Austin. In Austin. Yeah, you're getting by. Your wife is working. And you're living in Round Rock.
The point is that the support for the police is not, this is not going to work out. I mean, if you remember, somebody pointed out during the Nixon's run for president, he swept into office and during an era of rioting and police bashing. And this is a setup for Trump being reelected the way I'm seeing it. I don't think anybody on the other side sees it that way.
I find this very interesting, John, that I see a definite bias amongst our trolls that cops need to shut up, that they're making enough. And with overtime, they can make $100,000. There's very little compassion for them. Interesting.
Well, that's the media. Yeah. Done a good job.
Yeah, I think so, too. Oh, well. So where are we at now with all this?
I think we're at the break point, but...
yeah, I think so, too. And that's why I would like to say in the morning to you, and thank you for your courage, the man who put both C's in the CCP, John C. Dvorak.
John CCC.
John
Dvorak.
CC Dvorak. Exactly.
And in the morning, you, Mr. Adam Curry. In the morning, all strips and sea boots on the ground, feet in the air, subs in the water, and all the dames and knights out there.
Hey, in the morning to our trolls. I love our trolls. They're never boring. There's always something new with the trolls, and you can be one of them. In fact, you probably are. You just don't know where your bridge is. This is the troll room. It's noagendastream.com. Noagendastream.com is where you go, and you will. You okay? What happened there? Did the mic fall off?
No, I just moved it.
Oh, okay. I thought it fell down. Not only can you sit there and troll along with the live shows, but you can also troll shows that are recorded, which is even funnier because the host won't respond to you. But you'll have other trolls around you, and it gets to be something. Also, while you're in there, let me see how many we have there. Let me see how many we have today. A little troll count. 1442.
Did you hear that Horowitz is going to do the Nick the Rat show?
No, he is. That's the kind of stuff that goes on noagendastream.com. That's exactly right. That's how it works. And it's cool. It's so many different people all jamming together as part of our Value for Value network. And while you're there, you can also get an invite for noagendasocial.com, which is our federated social network. We have about 6,000 members, I think. And it's a very high signal to noise, so you can really, I get a lot of good show prep from there, and there's I even engage sometimes in a conversation, which of course you can't do anywhere else. And then I'd like to say in the morning to our artist for episode 1251, we titled that Viewpoint Discrimination. Speaking of Democracy Now!, it was I don't know has Gabe Greider ever had a piece of art selected by us in the past?
He's fairly new, so probably not.
No, it's interesting art though, but really hit it just squarely with. So if you know the Democracy Now! Logo, everyone's seen this artwork. It's instead of Democracy Now!, Mob Rule Now, with the Statue of Liberty with a Molotov cocktail. I mean, how could you argue with that?
No, it was a dynamite.
It was right off the bat, like that's the one. It's just that it pops out. You know it. It's sometimes you can't explain art other than it just nailed it. And thank you very much, Gabe Greider, and welcome. Thank you for your value provided to the community. This would be look pretty good on a T-shirt. Although I don't.
Yes.
I mean, right.
Yeah, it would actually look good on a mug too.
On a mug. No Agenda Shop.
A T-shirt for sure.
Yeah, noagendashop.com does that. And they make sure they get permission from the artist. Of course, it's a No Agenda art generator, so it's there. And then once they put it on stuff, they sell it. They give a third to the artist, keep a third for themselves, and eventually wind up giving a third to the show. No contracts. Love it. And thank you again, Gabe Greider, noagendaartgenerator.com, where you can participate yourself. Of course, it happens during the live show, but you can also see all the, tens of thousands of pieces of art that have been uploaded and collected over the past decade or so. And thank you very much for your courage, all of your.
We had an earlier site where where the art was put up and submitted. Remember? Before these guys came along and did this one?
This is interesting you bring this up. Yes.
Whatever happened to those art pieces?
Well, that's what happened to the first 2 years of Clips Archive. This was a very big lesson for me and for the show and for many with me. We were using something called drop.io, if you remember. And drop.io was a place it was kind of an early file sharing. Essentially, you could just drag a file in there, and it would then create what is called a drop, and then you had a link so you could share it. And you could build a page, and so we were saving artwork, and other people were creating drops and sub-drops. And then one day, Drop said, well, we're closing everything. Sorry, we didn't have time for you to take your content off, but we're now hired somewhere. I forget where they went. I should look that up. Where'd those dicks go? Drop.
Yeah. Well, welcome to the internet and the bull crap.
And they were basically bought out for the team. And they just closed it. And all of our stuff was, Facebook acquired it. There you go. We can recently confirm Facebook says, we can confirm we recently completed a small talent acquisition for Drop.io, acquired most of the company's assets. Yeah, and our clips and our art. Yeah, that's what happened. That's
so we have a few people to thank.
That's why I don't have some stuff from the early days. Yes, we have
starting with Mr. Fungi LLC in Corvallis, Oregon, a mushroom grower with $1,000 and 1,000.
Holy crap!
1,010. You get your pen out because I didn't send this information to Eric.
Okay.
1,010 and 5 cents.
All right.
And he has a note he sent in. Just give me as a check. Forgive me, Podfather, for I've sinned. I've been overly occupied with my new startup and I have not donated. Please de-douche me.
Yeah, okay, no problem. Here we go.
You've been de-douched.
This donation in the amount of 10.10.05, double dimes on the nickel.
Nice, I like it.
Should catch me up on my dues for the value I received from the BPITU, according to the Mueller report. I would like to credit this donation to my Mike Karazi, my Mike Karazi company, MrFungi.com. That's Mr. Fungi. We provide beneficial fungi, and supporting material that helps plant uptake nutrients, probiotics for your plants. This product is incredible for fruit trees, vegetables, hemp, and of course the devil's lettuce. I would like to be known as he's going to be titled as tonight.
Oh, okay. Hold on a second. Yes. So you didn't. Okay. So this is not on our list. I got it.
I would like to be known as Sir Fungi, the Knight of the Rhizosphere.
Sir
RHIZO,
Fungi, the Knight
sphere
of the. Spell that again.
RHIZO,
Rhizo
sphere, the rhizosphere.
Nice. Sir Fungi, the Knight of the Rhizosphere. Yeah.
In commemoration of this knighting, I grabbed SirFungi.com, and any No Agenda listeners can get 33% off of the fungis using promo code MAGIC33.
Woo!
Thanks for all you do. For all you do for our nation's amygdala. Love and light, no jingles, no karma.
Thank you very much, Mr. Fungi. I'm looking at the page right now, and here it is. Increases size, productivity. Oh, plant size. Okay, good. Decreased water usage, so much more. All right. Thank you. Take a look.
Next on the list is Adam in Austin. That's you.
Hey.
$500.
Nice.
He says, he states a little anonymous Kaylee specials and blasting the experts are your money makers for me. Keep them coming.
Oh, I feel bad. We don't have a Kaylee special now because of the sabotage.
No, that's why I announced it at the beginning that we can't do one today.
That's sad. Yes.
That's okay. She's coming back for more. Keep them coming. I'm catching up on No Agenda episodes after a beach trip with my friends on the Texas coast.
Nice.
The prevalence Trump flags and dearth of masks and rioting blew my mind.
Was it Galveston? I wonder. Let me know.
Probably.
Yeah. Excellent. Thank you, Adam, from Austin, Texas.
Jason Simon, 500. And he's 500, and Jason Simon's 500, so we're doing okay today. Mm-hmm. Not quite a war and peace, but close. Jingles, please. D-douche. He needs a de-douching.
Yeah, we got it.
You've been de-douched.
And he's going to need the Korean broadcaster 999 clippity clop, and that's true. Okay. One too many, but we'll do it. Dissertation begins now, and there's nothing here. Spoken word as performed by John's firm voice and his fist in the air and foot on his keyboard. So whatever it is you sent never got onto the spreadsheet. And I looked in my email, not there either. So the War and Peace is in abeyance. Now, I want to thank you for the $500, and we do have your jingles.
Yeah, but this is what's weird, because I pre-sourced these, and I got the 999, and I'm getting file format not supported. What the hell is that? I didn't check.
You've had this before.
Yeah, but I don't understand. Okay, I got that one. I got one that works there. And what was the first one again? I'm sorry.
It was the de-douching you gave.
Oh, Korean lady. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why is that? It's coming up with an error. That is so.
And then
weird.
clippity clop, and that's true.
Right. But now I have to find. I got to find a Korean lady.
Well, apparently this donation was jinxed.
No, it's broken it. Because I only have...
And his long note is missing.
Okay, here we go. Wait, first I got to do is de-douching, no? I don't think I did his de-douching.
I thought you did.
Here we go. Do it again. We'll do it live!
You've been de-douched.
The message is clear.
Just clippity-clop.
That's true.
I'm throwing in the karma. Why not?
You've got
There we go.
karma.
Woo! Yeah, I sourced them. I'm sorry. Didn't realize that those
Very strange.
were incompatible. Yes.
So onward with...
here we go.
Our buddy Dave Fugazotto, the Duke of America's Heartland and the Arabian Peninsula. You want to read his note?
I sure do. Enclosed is my official Father's Day donation of D plus A plus D and 33 cents in honor of my dear old dad, David Fugazotto, I presume.
And we should mention his donation is $414.33 in Gladstone.
That's the DAD 33. Like my mom and mother-in-law, he's a keeper. If you're interested, here's a quick update from the peninsular portion of my dukedom. Saudi Arabia's COVID cases have been spiking past Ramadan at Eid, and at last count was pushing 5,000 new cases per day. This is in contrast to before we came out of lockdown, when the max trended under 1,000. That said, deaths seem to be fairly low at about 40 per day, and it seems like the medical system has capacity. Yes, sounds like testing is going on there. In spite of the uptick, we are still on track to fully open the country as of the 21st of June, and this is Saudi Arabia. And I expect we'll be wearing masks from this point onward to infinity. Yep. And perhaps even beyond. Yep. So we've got that going for us. Non-compliance is 1,000 rials for the individual and 10,000 rials for the shop that let you browse without protection. You will obey, citizen. Domestic flights are flying now, but still no concrete dates for international flights, so I remain marooned. He's been there, the whole lockdown? 3 months away from his family. He's been there a couple of
months.
It's horrible.
Yeah.
With the epidemic of swollen amygdala in the USA, once international flights do finally open, I'm seriously considering getting one-way tickets to bring over my girls and our scruffy mongrel. Here we only have to worry about the occasional Houthi missile attack or Iranian-backed drone swarm. Yeah, what's it? Thanks, as always, for the timely and thoughtful analysis of the current situation. This show, along with Mo Facts with Adam Curry, are exactly what the world needs. Producers, I call on you all to step up, chip in, and to propagate the formula. Not just hams can save the world, right? No jingles, but a dash of goat karma for strength, and thank you for your courage. Dave Fugazotto, Duke of America's Heartland and the Arabian Peninsula, and thank you, sir, for your courage.
You've got karma.
Onward with James Story, $334.00 in Lower Hutt, New Zealand. A New Zealander. Greetings. We have recently returned to a semblance of normality after a long government imposed lockdown. Thanks to our obedient sheep-like population, socialist, we managed to effectively eliminate the virus and without compulsory mask wearing. Which reminds me of the Japanese store, which is interesting too. Not a moment too soon. No, so they weren't wearing masks. This whole thing is ludicrous. Given the large flocks of sheep here who jumped on the Black Lives Matter protest bandwagon, unfortunately, 2 new COVID cases have circulated through the country this week due to a breach of border quarantine protocols. Let's hope we don't end up back where we started. Either way, the economic impacts are yet to be fully realized, so I better donate before the exchange rate gets worse. By the time this episode airs, it will be my birthday here, turning 41 on the 19th. Please add my name to your on the list. I'd like to give a shout out to my long-standing partner in crime, Julia, who has been subjected to no agenda in my car on the weekend drives. A couple of weeks ago, we decided to take her car, and she surprised me by asking me if I would like to play my podcast.
Oh,
progress.
Woo!
In her
Nice.
honor, may I request a foamer and a goat karma? Love the show. It's really enhanced my critical listening skills. Thanks, James.
And remember, it's the people who know agenda together who stay together.
Oh my God! Woo! Listen to that horn!
You've got
Karma.
Andrew Grasso of the Grassos. 33334. He might be a knight. He might be a sir. Happy birthday to my dad, Michael. Oh, okay, it's the child of Michael.
Ah, yes.
And happy first Father's Day to me. And my son, Michael, was born on March 20th. Oh, we got a double. Please give me a health karma for my grandmother, Marcy, who was just admitted to the hospital with stroke symptoms and dementia. Too bad. It's not good.
No.
It's ridiculous that family members still cannot visit. Yeah, this is dumb.
This is
cannot
horrible.
visit their sick kin, all in the name of the nonsense fear-mongering, especially ones with dementia. Yes.
It's so
Andrew
cruel.
Grasso, Long Island, New York.
It's very cruel. Yes, of course we've got that for it. Cruel, I tell you.
You've got karma.
Health karma. Granny.
Alicia Julian in Gilroy, California, 33333. Local. Happy Father's Day to Sir Julian, Earl of the South Bay and Autonomous Cars. Love, Shady Lane.
Bridget Rebish, 333.33 from Kennewick, Washington. This is a Father's Day gift for Ross Rebich. You think it's Rebich?
And it's Kennewick, too.
Kennewick, okay. Do you think it's Rebich? Ross. What do you say,
Rebich.
It's a Father's Day gift, so he's not called out as a douche by his cousin who got him hooked on your podcast. Bridget, I see what's going on. Ross is now a regular fan and shares no agenda with anyone willing to listen. Your candor and insight is much appreciated. I believe she is calling for a de-douching for Hermione.
You've been de-douched.
So there you go. And thank you very much for the support.
You can continue to read the one after this. I'll see if I can look up the email.
Michael Poplin from Denver, Colorado.
Well, that's the email I'm looking at.
That is the one you're looking at, but I'm dragging it out. I'll say it again. This comes from Denver.
You can read the one after that, and I'll come back.
Okay. Sir Carl with a K, $300.33 from Rochester, New York. In the morning, gentlemen. The show has been excellent since the lockdown. I especially love it when you break down Andrew Cuomo's pressers, which are must-see TV here in New York State, as we anxiously await his permission to live our lives. Your show has meant a lot to me over the years. First and foremost, it keeps me sane and informed. It's also brought a lot of listeners to my show. Who are these podcasts? Thank you for that. I think that's a thank you to you, John. In addition, I've met many great people in the No Agenda community. Or is it the NA cult? No, we prefer Media Tribe, but okay. Recently, I was a guest on the Grumpy Old Ben's podcast with fellow knights Ryan Bemrose and Darren O'Neill. After our great discussion, I knew it was time to donate. Speaking of my appearance on Grumpy Old Ben's, we all agreed that JCD would make an excellent guest host on Who Are These Podcasts? John, you have an open invitation. Anytime you want to come on and make fun of a podcast with me. I know it's something you've always wanted to do. I think you are uniquely qualified. Anyways, keep up the great work. I'll take a classic in the morning for my jingle and a podcast karma. Cheers, Sir Carl with a K. I think you should take him up on it. I think that will be a hit show.
In the morning.
And your karma.
You've got karma.
Seriously, consider it. You should do more than one guest host. It'd be great. You'd love doing that.
I would love doing that. In fact, I will. Right now, I'll just make the comment, I will do it.
Excellent. That would be fantastic.
All right. Well, I have to say...
You couldn't find the email?
There's nothing here, and there's nothing under Poplin. There's nothing under the number. What I tell people to do is write donation note.
Right.
And I didn't get anything. So we have a check email guy.
With no wrote
a War and
check.
Peace, he says, from Denver. This is Michael Poplin, Denver, Colorado. The donation is $333.33, and I want to thank him for donating.
Yeah, you're going to have
onward with Gavin McElroy.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you take this because I got to sneeze?
Yes, Gavin McElroy, $266.84. This seems this would be, I think, a dollarette donation from Victoria, Australia. Hey, John Adam, Gavin here, an Irish Aussie currently based in the Sultanate of Oman. Oh, yes.
Oman.
Yes, sincerely, thanks for your work. I'm a former JRE listener, now converted whole hog to NA. I like Joe, but damn it, he gets a bit too lefty from time to time. Well, this is why our timing is perfect. You can, if it's too lefty, listen to us for a bit. You can go back and forth. It works perfectly for all sides. Shout out to my decisively delicious wife, Christine, who celebrates her birthday on June 30th. I celebrate mine on June 26th. Note the donation amount relates to the correct date format. Not your backwards version. Can I get an Obama no, and goat karma, please? Keep on keeping on, brethren. You know what I think happened here is, because this is clearly not a date. Or is it? Oh, 26/6/84? Oh, I guess it does make sense. Does it?
Well, maybe.
If it's his birthday.
I don't know.
Yeah, okay.
Maybe.
Well, I think it's very good. I'll give you an Obama no. And thank you very much for your support. And yes, we stand corrected on the date.
No. Hey.
You've got karma.
Onward with Joel Nelson, $250, bullshit executive producer. He wants, that's one mother baby making karma. It's with sadness that I must state that I asked for baby making karma too late last donation. I needed to have asked for it at least a week earlier. To that end, I would like for additional that's one mother baby making karma to help in our third attempt. There's material here. I'm just going to drop it.
Just keep on moving.
Job assist request from my ketchup kick. Minnesota hot wife who lost her job due to COVID and is looking for an HR specialist talent acquisition job within 20 or 30 minutes of Richfield, 35 West 494. If you know of one, email me at joelnelson2 at protonmail.com. This is a request for a job.
Yeah.
Or my NA social profile listed in the show notes. And I'll send out her resume. Penultimately, 3X douchebag call out. Oh, ready?
Mm-hmm.
Mark L. Douchebag. He's a dude named Ben who hit me in the mouth. Elijah G. Douchebag. He's a dude named Ben that I hit in the mouth. And Phil L. Douchebag. He's a marketeer with brown shoes that I hit in the mouth. Thanks for their bi-weekly sanity and infosainment. You've been a great help during this time of tribulations due to COVID and the riots here in Minnesota. Don't you know? Don't you know? Don't you know?
All right. So we have a jobs karma, but first we're going to hit you with the one hot MILF baby making karma. So if you're ready, bend over.
MILF, that's one mother I'd like to.
Jobs, 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 and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got karma.
Now, if that doesn't work, we'll have to stop by. We'll have to stop by.
Cody the Black Male Cowboy in Long Beach, California, 24816. No jingles, no karma, but I do I have a correction. Several shows ago, all corrections accompanied by donations are gladly accepted. Several shows ago, you received a donation from a town in Montana. John pronounced the town Lewiston, but it's actually Lewistown. I grew up in Lewistown, and I still have family there. It's always irksome to hear it pronounced incorrectly.
We're sorry. We're sorry.
Keep up the fine work, good sirs. Cody the Black Metal Cowboy.
We can always do better. We will be better. We appreciate it.
Yeah, we can always do better.
Here's Sir Cal.
Here's our buddy, Sir Cal.
Yeah, Sir Cal of Lavender Blossoms with 23456 Northville, Michigan. ITM, folks. JCD, I emailed you about your dress. No response. Can I ship some honey to your P.O. box? It might be a larger package. Adam, how's the honey? Happy Father's Day to you and the rest of us dads out there. Sir Cal of lavenderblossoms.org. I really want to thank Sir Cal. He sent a fabulous care package with all of the, of course, the lavenderblossoms.org solves and all of this essential oil. I mean, it was like a huge package with a giant jar of raw homegrown honey.
Yeah.
Did you get one?
You can send it to post office box. They put it in the back. I pick it up later.
Oh my God. It is. It's crazy.
Well, we also received a couple of jugs of Pennsylvania maple syrup from one of our producers.
I didn't get that.
Well, he sent yours to me.
Did you get your cheddar cheese, though?
No.
Oh, Brad the man sent a big tin. I've never seen this before. It comes in a tin, refrigerated, of Cougar cheese from Wisconsin. No, not from Washington State University Creamery.
Oh, neat. Neat.
Hello, Warren Beatty. Neat. That's what Beatty said to Madonna about her show. It's more than neat. I'm excited about this. It's in a big tin. It has to go in the fridge.
Well, I'm looking forward to that.
The Cougar Gold.
You don't get my shipping address. Send me another note.
Okay.
Anyway, I lost the name of the guy who sent me the Pennsylvania maple syrup, and he has to send me a note.
Yeah, well, we thank Sir Cal of Lavender Blossoms profusely, of course, and for his donation. And check him out, lavenderblossoms.com. Nick Miller, also with 23456 from Berlin, Deutschland. A big in the morning from yet another Joe Rogan Experience convert. I've been addicted to your humorous and cerebral analysis from the first episode I listened to, and it means even more to me now as the world dives further into insanity. This is my second donation, but the first as associate executive producer level, so please de-douche me, you bet.
You've been de-douched.
I would also appreciate some jobs karma. I'm currently living and working in Germany, but I've decided it is time to make my way back home to the States to be closer to the family. The software company I work for here is not interested in extending a contract for me to continue working from them remotely. I know I'll find work back home, but don't have a clear plan yet, so every bit helps. Keep up the good work, Nick Miller. Thank you, Nick. And yeah, of course we've got a jobs karma for you, and welcome to our media tribe.
Jobs, and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got karma.
This note needs commentary. I've noticed this. The Joe Rogan people that have come over adapted to our show with one episode, which is rare because the olden days.
Very rare.
In the olden days, all these from scratch listeners took, and they would talk about this. Oh, I hated your show. I had to listen to it 2 or 3 times. I finally started getting it. Now, is it possible that because Rogan's a podcast, that people are just finally getting used to listening to podcast, found going from podcast to podcast easier than going from scratch to podcast? Or has our way of opening the show and actually doing the show, has that, have we grown into just a new taste of the public at large? One of the two. Because it's interesting to me that the Roganites just came right in, boom, they're there.
Well, a couple things. Because of the nature of Rogan's show, which is, 2.5, 3 hours like ours long, and it just kind of, it gets started and you get into it or you don't. And I think with us, you need a little patience, even to just hear where we're going on the day. I mean, we're trying to figure, we don't have any agenda either. We start off like, well, we'll figure out what we start with. But I think we're also kind of, Rogan, I don't know if he has lefty days, but he's one guy, with a guest. It's a very different kind of show. Here we have 2 guys. We cross opinions, no guests, but we cross opinions all the time. And ultimately, thank you. That's really what it is. What are you and I doing? We're talking to each other. And I think that it's genuine. If we disagree, we disagree. Sometimes it gets heated. Sometimes I'm wussy. Sometimes you're cranky.
But that's always been true. That's different than people having to listen to the show 3 times. That we used to recommend that.
Yeah, it's true. It was prescribed.
And now the Roganite, what the hell's going on?
Oh, was that the Zephyr, which seems to be MIA?
He's going to hit the house. And so now they go straight in, and it's like fine right at the get go. So I just find it fascinating. I don't know why there's something. It's a change in the culture.
Well, it's a good change. It's a welcome change, and I'm very happy. I'm happy that we fit in the same category of people. But you are right. They come in immediately, get it, love it, want to support it,
And they're donating right away, too.
Yeah. It's
we haven't heard. I
texted Joe. I said, thanks, man. You bring quality people. He's like, congratulations.
It's a very high-quality audience.
Yeah, it is. Yes. No doubt about it. No doubt about it.
Yeah, that's true. It's true. Sir Dude named Ben Defender of the Megawatts, Protector of the Electric Grid in Franklin, Texas, $233.33. Got a birthday coming up. Howdy, John and Adam. Jingle request, a Citizen AOC 1984 Revolution. Pew, pew. Shut up, slave. I could not finish my 33rd trip around the sun without another donation to the best podcast in the universe. Please add me to the birthday list for June 19th. Not only will I be celebrating my birthday this weekend, but my first Father's Day as well with all the 2020 craziness. Thank you for keeping me sane as our history is being rewritten.
Mm-hmm.
We're being told to shut up and stay home, and cities are burning. John, do you know the story of Jim Limber Davis? I found his story ironic, as his adoptive father's statue was pulled down by ignorant crowds who don't know or understand the nuances of history. This insanity is explained that Pocahontas wanting to exhume Confederates from Arlington National Cemetery. Many of the M5M have said in the South that the South Act of secession was an act of treason. Ironic for a country that was founded on this by the same process. The South forgot and lost its first bid for independence. Perhaps it is time for another. Texas, at least, should resume its proper place as a free and independent state. I, for one, will not comply with the cowardly Lincolnites' second attempt at the reconstruction of this nation. I will remember my heritage and history. Sincerely, unreconstructed Sir Dude named Ben Defender of the Megawatts, Protector of the Electric Grid.
Well, thank you very much, sir.
Hey, citizen.
Who here is ready for the revolution? You pigs in human clothing! Shut up, slave!
You've got karma.
Matthew Abbott in Castle Rock, Colorado, 22222. Longtime boner, first-time donor. I'm excited to meet small amygdalas tonight at the Denver meetup and couldn't be a douchebag any longer.
Nice.
Dealer's choice, Sharpton. Did you see the juice?
Wait, he has to be de-douche, no?
Well, he doesn't say that. Yeah, please de-douche me right at the top.
Right. You've been de-douched.
Okay.
China asshole. It tastes like poop. 2 to the head. Again, we were trying to minimize these to something funny in 4.
Yeah, we try.
Perhaps he was influenced by Gurgle and the Third Reich.
Oh, my gosh. Can you see that juice?
What's going on?
Detective Dookie.
Detective Dookie!
Poop Police. SPU, Special Poopers Unit.
Oh, gosh. It's a mess here. Sorry.
You've got karma.
I'm hitting buttons.
Came out of mine. Can you see that Jew?
Juice. It just cut off. I don't know what's going on. It's messy.
All right, you can have this one.
This is from Christopher Rudiger. Do we? I didn't do China.
No, that's it.
Yeah, but I didn't do China's.
Oh, you
asshole.
China
I forgot the China's asshole. I feel
China's
bad.
asshole.
Feel bad about it. Chris Rudiger 20202 and says this brings me up to knighthood. Accounting attached. I'd like to be knighted Sir Teetsy. Jingles attached clip. Okay. Pew pew and an older Fletcher scream. Could you just read this so I can see if I can get these together, John? I need to.
Oh, okay.
Please.
Primo, I'm writing his testimony of the value for value system. The show by itself is priceless. And what, and what producers have helped build around the show creates a truly precious resource of information and entertainment that encapsulate what the internet was supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
If you're thinking about donating, you should. And if you're donating, you should have a few drinks and go for an associate executive level to have John cold read a note you don't remember writing. It's a cheap out-of-body experience. Theremin, please. The value I add today is more juvenile. Every donation of mine has been from a real town that I don't live remotely close to, but was fun hearing it announced. I've included a mush edit for your enjoyment. I don't have it.
I have it. I found it. I got it. Yeah.
Much love to my smoking pot wife. smoking pot wife.
Okay.
Pickles.
Yes.
Pickles. As we celebrate our second anniversary, my first Father's Day and my 35th birthday on a Saturday this week, it's a gift to be making a family with you. Her gift to me, he's talking to Pickles, not us.
Yeah.
Her gift to me was making me donate to No Agenda because she wasn't sure how to. Aw, show her.
Yes. Love and light from Chris and the Rutgers.
Happy birthday!
Christopher Roetger, or Rotger. Rotger, I believe, in Metetsi, Wyoming. Metetsi. Metesti, Wyoming.
What is this?
Metets. I'm not sure.
Meteets. Have we done this wrong every time? I've never heard of this place. Meteets. Why Meteets? How do you pronounce? Was it Meteets? Meteetsi.
Metitsi. As in Metitsi Fly, New York. Only time I've ever seen that town name ever.
Thanks for making us sound like douchebags, Chris.
Yeah, good work.
Appreciate it. Well produced.
Yeah, it was good, actually. I think of doing more. Chris Mulmy in Cherry Valley, Massachusetts, that's 202. Hi, John and Adam. Thanks for hitting my wife in the mouth recently. It's been quite an experience for both of us. Please give a shout-out to my smoking hot wife. She knows who she is. Thank you, Chris Mulmy.
I'm going to give her one.
MILF. That's one mother I'd like to.
That's how we do it here. Go ahead.
Andrew Riley, $201. This Father's Day donation on behalf of my dad, Steve. Steve Riley, please also credit him for the associate executive producership. Make a note, please.
Yes.
Thanks, Aunt Barb, for the gift idea. Aunt Barb, good gift idea.
Aunt
Please
Barb
throw in the customary de-douching.
You betcha.
You've been de-douched.
Nice. That's very good. Aunt Barb is on board. She knows what's going on. I like it.
Joe Slater in Kamloops, BC, 200. Donation from Joe Slater for show 1252. Now, there's a note. Remy.
Yes, indeed.
Remy Cuter, Kueter, in Voorburg. Voorburg.
Remy Cuter.
Remy Cuter in Voorburg.
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 I don't know why it still cracks me up after 12 years.
After 10 years.
Why, people? Why?
Don't stop doing what you're doing and keep on keeping on. This donation is a Dame drive for my smoldering hot wife. I like that one.
Yeah, smoldering.
My smoldering hot wife, Femke, who celebrates her birthday. Femke. Used to be an actress named Femke something or other.
Femke Janssen, James Bond girl who was Dutch.
Yeah, the one that, what's her name?
She killed men by
squeezing them.
Squeezing them with her head with her thighs, yes. That's very Dutch.
Who celebrates her birthday on June 17th. He's a big fan of the show and would like to have the following jingles. Goats Karma, John's Fisting Nuts, and Trump Aroused. All the best from Lockdown Zone. You guys are dirty. Lockdown Zone 070 in the nether regions, where we'll be joining the dog in the protest against the COVID-1984.
That's right.
1.5 meter society that's coming Sunday, soon to be Sir Stinkfinger, a.k.a. the Plague from The Hague, Remy Kuta, and Femke von Bremelen.
Yes, the Maurice de Hond, the dog, is doing a speech, and I believe Ancilla is also going to be speaking. It's supposed to be big. A lot of people are talking about it. And this is because the Dutch are putting into law the 1.5 meter society. I think we mentioned it before. So instead of 6 feet, for some reason, they feel it's 5 feet social distancing, but they call it the 1,5 meter maatschappij, which is has a da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. People can remember the 1,5 meter maatschappij. But it's going into law. It'll be permanent. It's a permanent thing. You always have to.
You can't hug anybody anymore in the hall, and you can't give them a couple kisses on the cheek, one left, right.
It's going. It's going into law. It's crazy. They slipped a couple other things. They called something called the dragnet laws. They've also pushed that through during this whole Rona thing, which is basically illegal spying on telecoms. Yeah, they're going all in. Very good. Very good, Dolan. Very, very good.
Just go for it, John. Tell us your peeve about the fisting method of eating snacks on an airplane.
Okay. I see this on the airplane, and it's very annoying, and I think it will result in fights breaking out because it's just so annoying to watch. Guy takes his bag of peanuts, and he throws a pile of them into his palm of his hand, and then he makes a fist around the nuts. And then he shakes his fist to try to bring a nut to the little hole. Stop. And then he throws a nut in his mouth from his fist. Then he does it again. He shakes and throws and shakes and throws. It is annoying as hell to watch.
It was hard to get it aroused, and it is hard to get it aroused, but we got it aroused.
Karma.
Dirty people.
This is what happens when you're in Holland and locked down.
You start thinking about dirty. Dirty.
Joseph Verniero. Diverniero.
Joey D. It's Joey D.
It's Joey D. In Cornelius, North Carolina, $200. I found your show after Adam's appearance on JRE. I knew immediately after I had to check out No Agenda, and I liked it so much that I'm now a regular listener to DH Unplugged and Mo Facts. After growing up in the Long Island Catholic community and going to a private liberal arts college, I always found both perspectives of current events either through my parents who watched Fox News or friends who spit out liberal talking points. I always found that the truth was somewhere in the middle, and you guys confirmed that for me. I love how you both cover stories objectively, which is impossible to find anywhere else. And when you do interpret a story differently, you talk it out loud to find the truth instead of just yelling at each other, like most of them do. I knew after the Eisenhower quote from the last episode I had to donate, as any time I learn anything about the man, I become more and more impressed. I never heard that quote on Science and Technology, but loved it. I also has this quote of the government which foreshadows the issues we have today. He wanted to get the federal government out of any unnecessary activity and to stop the hysterical approach of cutting every owl through the infusion of cash. I'm not sure what I'm saying. Please accept my donation as an appreciation of you guys' show and what you do. If you could please play Orange Man into Afternoon Delight and finish with some goat karma, I'd be a happy guy.
I think that's one of your best voices. You kept that up really long. A slow golf clap, Tiffany pen tap. Very impressed. Orange Man bad.
Sky rockets in flight. Afternoon delight.
You've got karma.
I don't even know why we have that jingle. I don't even know. I typed it in like, oh yeah, we have that.
And that is our last guy. He's our associate executive producer for show 1252. And I want to thank everybody, the associate executives and executive producers for this show for keeping us going. It's a little top heavy again today, which is great. But it is Father's Day coming up, and that'll be on Sunday.
And thank you for your courage, because you are now official producers. We have executive producers. These credits are real. And the associate executive producers, you can use them. You're for episode 1252. Put them on your LinkedIn profile. It helps you get jobs. Put it on your resume. No matter what, if anyone questions it, you need a reference. We're here for you, and we appreciate all that you do. Thank you for your courage. We'll be thanking more of our producers in our second donation segment, and you can contribute if you want to do it for Sunday's show. Go to
Dvorak.org/NA.
I'm so excited. Oops. I'm so excited. I don't know which buttons I'm pushing anymore.
Our formula is this. We go out, we hit people in the mouth. Order.
Shut up, slave.
Shut up, slave.
I know what happened. So I had Drew over yesterday. Drew, I'm waiting for 3 months for Drew, who was going to build my studio table. You know, the desk.
Oh, Drew is your carpenter?
Well, he builds studios. I think it's Wright Smith Studios. He's just one guy. He used to do custom motorcycles when he lived in L.A., like the $300,000 crazy custom jobs.
Oh, the cool ones.
Yeah, and then he moved here, and he started building studio cabinetry. And, well, obviously, we had all kinds of...
he's probably dynamite.
Oh, and he's made a fantastic... So we were, like, positioning stuff, because I want to keep it so I can still take it with me. I don't want to have a duplicate set, so it's still the portable, but then it's kind of all docked into this. I'll send pictures when it's ready. So anyway, so we were messing around with the screens, and I'm hitting like where I thought it would be, and it's next to it. I'm hitting the wrong buttons. I'm sorry. It will get better.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. It's just
you're not accustomed to the new layout.
Well, it's still the old layout. I don't have the desk yet, but we were working it, and you know what I'm talking about.
No.
Okay, it's a work in progress. It's a work in progress, is what I'm saying. Hey, there is stuff going on all over the world, and a couple people sent this to me, and I'm not surprised that we haven't heard about it because, of course, in the United States, certainly, why would you expect any other news than Trump? But in Dijon, France, you think it's bad here?
Police reinforcements have descended on the French city of Dijon, looking to end a string of violent encounters between rival gangs. The city has seen 4 consecutive nights of clashes, which were sparked by an alleged attack on a 16-year-old Chechen by drug dealers last week. Dozens of men armed with guns and crowbars wreaked havoc on the low-income district of Grésy last night, setting bins and cars alight. Well, France's Deputy Interior Minister is in Dijon today, but local officials have called for more government help to stop the violence.
This involves rival gangs, armed groups who have taken justice into their own hands under the eyes of the state without any reaction. And I, along with my colleagues, am asking for more resources. I'm asking for police. I'm asking for justice. I'm asking for specialist educators in our territories. We must work on the real issues, not simply react, but work on the real issues.
And you see the video? This is Chechen gangs. They are dressed completely in body armor. They've got, semi-automatic weapons, perhaps automatic weapons. They're just on the streets, roaming, shooting in the air. It's pandemonium. It's really, it's nuts.
Yeah, that's diversity.
Do you think that there will be a shortage of mustard from the Dijon region?
It turns out, I've had this thing about the Dijon mustard, and people have been sending me samples, and it turns out that a very good copy of real Dijon mustard is actually made by French's.
Huh. It doesn't surprise me.
Very hard to find. It's got a black label, says French's Dijon mustard. I didn't know it says style, and I had to go back and look at it. It tastes exactly, it's that hot, it's good Dijon mustard when it's fresh. Is extremely hot. And it
right through your nasal
nostrils like wasabi.
Yeah, nice.
It's like wasabi.
Yes.
And then it gets stale. It gets stale very quickly. So you buy the Maya or any of the various brands of, and Grey Poupon costs
Maya,
American,
M-A-I-L-L-E, Maya.
Yeah, the Grey Poupon is, the American Grey Poupon has been reblended. It doesn't taste anything like Dijon, but if you buy Grey Poupon in Canada, you get a real Dijon, and it's fairly fresh. And so it's pretty hot.
When I was still at MTV, 89, and I'd bought a Rolls-Royce Silver Shadow 2. It only had 15,000 miles on it, but it cost $70,000. It was very expensive, but it was a classic Rolls, Brewster, British Racing Green, and I drove it into Manhattan from New Jersey every single day. And if you know Route 3, you go into the Lincoln Tunnel, you have this roundabout, it's kind of a corkscrew to get into the tunnel, and you could be sitting there for 45 minutes listening to Howard Stern, but invariably, in the late 80s, someone would be honking next to me, roll down their window and say, "Pardon me, you got any Grey Poupon?" And of course I did. I had one. I had a jar in my little dashboard. Yes, why I do. Would you like some? Good times.
Well,
with the
whatever
Rolls.
happened to all that money?
Well, the Rolls Royce, I ran out of gas in the Lincoln Tunnel. That's what that ended my my high end car career. Do you want to see people angry Why don't you run out of gas in a Rolls Royce in the Lincoln Tunnel Friday afternoon? You're the MTV guy with a leather jacket on and the hair. What do you think that experience was like? Most hated man in Manhattan. Most hated man in Manhattan. They were throwing stuff at me like milkshakes. It's all going to be in the book.
Okay, well, we're looking forward to it.
Yeah.
So let's go. You do a little more international stuff. I got some other stories like the escalating Korean tensions.
Yes, between North and South. Yeah, let's talk about that for sure. You got a clip here. Escalating. Yes.
Tensions are escalating on the Korean peninsula one day after North Korea.
Did she say peninsula? What did she say? Peninsula?
Tensions are escalating on the Korean peninsula one day after North Korea blew up a joint liaison office near the South Korean border. The office was set up after the 2018 peace talks. North Korea has also threatened to send troops back to the border. Meanwhile, South Korean unification minister has offered his resignation as ties between North and South Korea worsen.
Now, forgive me if I don't see this as some kind of move by China. Hey, cause some trouble.
This whole thing blowing up, how did they know it was going to blow up? Did they have a good film of it?
They were. That's a good question.
Just an office.
Yeah.
And it got blown to smithereens, and it's documented. I mean, we'd say, okay, get your cameras over here.
Here we
bring
go.
The CNN crew.
Yeah. Seemed a little fishy. To me, it was just, okay, just, CCP called up and say, hey, Kim Jong-un, make some noise, man. Just do some stuff. Just make it tough. They just want to make it look tough. Just make Trump look bad. It's part of it.
And here's the Hong Kong update as presented to us by NPR.
Yes, thank you.
Hong Kong's chief executive, Carrie Lam, is voicing support for China's proposed national security law for the city. As NPR's Emily Fang reports, Lam is accusing those opposed to the law of demonizing the issue.
Lam claimed Hong Kong had been traumatized by protests against her Beijing-backed government over the last year and needed such a measure. Beijing has vowed to restore order in the city by increasing its control through a proposed national security law that would require Beijing set up its own public security forces in Hong Kong. Critics worry that the sweeping language of the legislation so far would outlaw nearly all dissent and give Beijing control over which legal cases it can try in mainland China. Earlier this week, the deputy head of Beijing's representative office in Hong Kong said that it would reserve jurisdiction over rare cases in Hong Kong under the new law.
So how, is anyone going to step in? Are we going to step in? I mean, this is clearly not cool what's happening.
No, can't step in now. We're already in too deep with China. Trump knows that.
Yeah.
And we can't sever ties because they would just stop our supply of drugs, for example. Not the bad drugs. I'm talking about the real drugs.
Yeah.
Like, everything that you take, prescription drugs are all coming from China and India.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're so, this was a mistake.
Big one.
When we locked up with China to such an extreme that we've done. And I mean, Trump's been trying to get us extricated. No one else is interested. So if you want to just turn the country over to China and the globalists, just vote Joe Biden. That's the way I see it. That's it.
That's it.
I don't have any more. No, that's
for
it.
International.
For international.
That's
screed.
Yes, I like your screed.
Oh, yeah. No, back to the international stuff. We got all kinds of stuff. Let's see.
Entremont. Let me give you an entremont. Just so we can laugh for a second. A little entremont.
I'm always looking for an entremont.
Okay. Martha on Fox News. Martha. She's quite sweet, I think. Martha. I don't know what her last name is. She's on.
Martha.
Before Tucker Carlson, after Brett Baer.
Yeah, she's Martha.
So. She's Martha, you gotta like her. She's a sweet lady. And she's talking about Chaz, I guess, the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone, and some of the demands that the inhabitants of the nation of Chaz are demanding. And anyway, this is a short clip of her reciting some of that.
And we're also learning that there is infighting among some of the occupiers and some signs of rebellion against Raz Simone, who we introduced you to here on the story last night. One posting on social media that has now been deleted read this: "I didn't vote for Raz. I thought we were an autonomous collective, an anarcho-syndicalist commune at the least. We should take turns to act as a sort of executive officer for the week."
So that was what she thought was one of the demands. I'll play that again and then play you the original which came from Monty Python's Life of Brian.
For Raz, I thought we were an autonomous collective, an anarcho-syndicalist commune at the least. We should take turns to act as a sort of executive officer for the week.
Didn't know we had a king. I thought we were an autonomous collective.
What? I told you. We're an anarcho-syndicalist commune. We take it in turns to act as a sort of executive officer for the week.
Yes. That's a good troll. That's a high-level troll.
Wow.
I like it. I liked it a lot. I thought that was damn good. Wait, it wasn't Life of Brian. What was it? It was Holy Grail. I'm sorry. No, Monty Python, Holy Grail. Holy Grail. Yeah. Boom. Boom, boom, boom. I like it.
That's what you get. That's what you get. So let's listen to the Beijing update, because they have a COVID outbreak in Beijing.
Yes, and I have a boots on the ground as well.
Health officials in China say they've locked down a third neighborhood in Beijing where a new coronavirus outbreak has infected more than 100 people in less than a week. At least 27 of 40 new infections reported nationwide yesterday were in Beijing. Most of the new cases have been traced to a wholesale food market in the capital.
Here is the update from our professor who teaches in, he's in Shanghai. I'm sorry, he's in Shanghai, but we might as well do it now. Here's the news. Beijing. How do you pronounce it? Do you say Beijing? Beijing? Beijing. I think. Well, Beijing closed all its schools. Large markets in Shanghai are once again doing temperature checks and requiring patrons to wear masks. By definition, the COVID tests are worthless. At best, the claim is that a person is positive for certain DNA or RNA strands that are associated with what is claimed to be the COVID. However, there's no proof the virus causes illness or that viruses are contagious. Yes, Professor, we are aware. Yeah, people can test positive for viruses, but we all make viruses all the time. And given there's always someone who is sick and there's always someone who will test positive for whatever, the real question is, why would any government follow the Chinese model? We will probably have internal travel restricted again. Definitely, if anyone went to Beijing, they would have to submit to the RNA nasal swab and blood draw test. At present, I cannot leave Shanghai. The rule is that no one can enter a school campus if they travel outside of Shanghai until after a 14-day self-quarantine period. My last scheduled day of school was 24th of June, but the government extended the school year 2 weeks. Well, that's dedicated. However, the news from Beijing, within 72 hours, we will know if all is modified. I'm still taking vitamin C, E, D3A, selenium, magnesium, and zinc. All the best, JCJ, our professor in Shanghai.
Sounds right.
Sounds about right, yeah. He's not all big on the testing being true.
Well, this all shakes out in a book probably written in about 2 or 3 years. Oh, we were idiots. This would be the name of the book.
You're right.
So I do have another kind of a foreign clip. This is Biden at some event where he's speaking to some kids or something. It's another empty audience. And I had 2 versions. I had Biden Mumbo Jumbo 1 and Mumbo Jumbo 2, but I produced number 2 first, and I went back and said, I can't do this. I edited it so it's just unbelievable. This guy makes no sense.
So it's not that Donald Trump doesn't recognize the importance of testing, and now he's seemingly decided he doesn't even want to try. So I have some basic questions for President Donald Trump. Why don't you enforce the OSHA standards for worker protection during this global pandemic? What businesses didn't get special approval? Folks, here's the truth. The pandemic is still here. It's going to be here for the foreseeable future until we get it under control or until we have safe and proven, widely available vaccine. COVID-19 is a fact of nature. I've laid out baseline steps of what needs to be done, from make it work checklists for successful accountable recovery, that I put out back in early April.
I used to find that it was mean and it was elder abuse, and now it's just entertaining.
Well, let's go to the blogger on Biden. This is a woman whose mom had this, what she calls TIA. I never heard of it.
That's a small aneurysm. Small stroke, mini stroke.
And she says that she's witnessing that, and she's on your old side of elder abuse. This is the blogger.
come back up again. They'd look at it. So I learned about roaches. I learned about kids jumping on my lap. And I've loved kids jumping on my lap.
I actually stopped laughing and shaking my head. Look, I'm no gerontologist. There's my disclaimer. I'm not a doctor of any kind. But I've experienced something like that personally. And I just don't think it's something that should be mocked and made fun of. I'll tell you my story. In the early 90s, my mom began having transient ischemic attacks, or TIAs, sometimes called mini strokes. Yeah. They're associated with vascular dementia, which is the second most common form of dementia. So for about a decade, until her death in 2003, I watched her slowly decline. And it was really sad. And a lot of the clips I see of Biden look sadly familiar and kind of spooky.
Okay, yes, TIA, we have spoken about this on the show because that's what my dad had. He had multiple TIAs and was told to take it easy, stop boozing and smoking and whoring, and he didn't. And he had more TIAs, and then it went real fast. And then he was basically, not much left at the end. Just for years, just completely, you start to get paralyzed.
How old was he when he died?
80. And I saw him just before he died, but I think the last time I saw him really coherent was about 6 years ago, maybe. So, yeah, that's why I felt bad, but not anymore. So that's what the Democrat Party wants to do to an old man, and it's on you. I'm not going to stop it.
Then we had this story, which I still find peculiar. And we haven't talked about this to any extreme, and we haven't analyzed it, and we still aren't going to yet. And hopefully we won't have to, because I think it's like some sort of screwy operation. It may even be a government, some sort of a COINTELPRO or what's the Agitprop, who knows. But this is the clip, the Boogaloo killer busted.
Inactive duty Air Force sergeant with ties to the far-right Boogaloo movement has been arrested for killing 2 law enforcement officials in California in recent weeks. Staff Sergeant Stephen Carrillo is accused of shooting dead a federal security officer in Oakland during the protests over the police killings of George Floyd in May. Later, Carrillo killed a deputy sergeant in the Santa Cruz County Sheriff's Office. Carrillo's lawyer says the Air Force sergeant had served in Iraq, Afghanistan, and Syria. FBI Special Agent Jack Bennett spoke Tuesday.
To be clear, Carrillo elected to travel to Oakland to conduct this murder and take advantage of a time when this nation was mourning the killing of George Floyd. There is no evidence that these men had any intention to join the demonstration in Oakland, as some in the media have asked. They came to Oakland to kill cops.
Authorities have also arrested an accomplice of Sergeant Carrillo's. Earlier this month, federal prosecutors in Las Vegas charged 3 other men connected to the far-right Boogaloo movement with inciting violence during the recent protests and conspiracy to commit terrorism. The 3 men also had experience in the U.S. military.
Yeah, I've seen this pop up. Of course, far-right extremist. Hello. I don't know.
So far-right extremists who hate cops.
Yeah, it sounds odd.
And then they killed this one guy in Oakland, because I remember when he was shot. It was then the first day of the riots. Mm-hmm. And it's just the car just drives up, and they say there was like a Hispanic guy. I don't see that this was that looked like that guy, but okay.
I mean, it's to me it seems
it may not even be this guy who did it, but they just shoot a security guard. No, right?
To me, this is like a 4chan troll or whatever. Yeah, these guys came from the cult film Breakin' 2 Electric Boogaloo. Yeah, I'm sure. Maybe they just made it. I don't know. I don't see any leaders. I don't see any. This is strange.
It seems to be promoted by the left media.
Well, sure, because it's a scary-looking bunch of dicks.
Yeah, wearing Hawaiian shirts, which annoys me.
with AR-15s. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I've heard it crop up. I guess Amy thinks it's important, so maybe someone's working on a mission. That might be some kind of op, I'd think. Something.
It seems like an op.
Doesn't seem like anyone's really behind. I mean, We had the Juggalos. So what is it's kind of like a take on them, or it could be an onion thing, really. I don't know.
Now, here's another story that's kind of interesting. This is the Southern Poverty Law Center. Your boys.
Yeah. Why is it my boys all of a sudden? Because I've been tracking them as actually a racist hate group for years? Yeah, my boys. Okay.
Now they're giving money away.
Woo!
The Southern Poverty Law Center says it's offering $30 million to nonprofit groups in the U.S. in an effort to boost voter registration among those who tend to participate less in elections. Here's NPR's Pam Fessler.
The money will be awarded to nonprofit groups involved in expanding access to the polls in Alabama, Florida, Georgia, Louisiana, and Mississippi. Although the effort is intended to be nonpartisan, the grants come amid intense partisan fighting over voting rules and their impact on minorities and other groups with low participation rates. The Southern Poverty Law Center said the voter outreach efforts are especially needed at a time when the nation is embroiled in protests over police violence against African Americans. The grants will also provide a much-needed boost to voter registration drives, which have dried up across the country due to the pandemic.
I am sick and tired of the nonprofits, and I don't mean actual nonprofits. Close to my heart is the Ronald McDonald House, so that's a nonprofit. What's happening here, and I identified this years ago in Austin when Dell has a huge nonprofit foundation. And instead of just hiring contractors, they farm it out to smaller one-person nonprofits who then do like they'll throw the party, or they and they have a mission, which is we throw parties for foundations or something like that. And so then they're a nonprofit. This is all this nonprofit stuff, and it's just vendors. And in this case, with systemic radicalism is giving money to these little that's how Black Lives Matter started. Giving money to these little nonprofits is anywhere between $40,000 and $150,000 a year, and you can spread it out, and you can't trace it because they don't have to report where the money came from unless it's a lobbying nonprofit. So they don't have to report who gave them the grants, only what they spent it on. And the same thing with Austin. The Austin Justice Coalition turns out to not even be a nonprofit anymore. And now the Black Lives Matter Foundation, which was a GoFundMe, it's not the Black Lives Matter that people think it is. It's raised millions just because people said, "Oh, Black Lives Matter Foundation, I'll give to them." Half of it's going, other foundations go to Act Blue. The whole thing is completely corrupt, and it should be stopped. I mean, we're a nonprofit for a reason, because we did not want anyone telling us that we had to do things, particularly the government. But now this nonprofit, the easy form 990, if you're under $200,000, you fill out 5 things, done, no taxes, and you get a lot of write-offs and all, and it's creepy. It's creepy. I'd like some of it investigated. Huh?
Good luck. What if you took yourself and made yourself a nonprofit for the easy 990, the short form,
under 200, yeah.
And you collect $199,000.
Yep.
You do a name change, create a second nonprofit for the easy 990 with a different name.
Sure.
Still you.
Sure.
And you do 5 or 6. Say if you do 10 of them.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're at $1.9 million.
Sweet.
I think this is a way to go. Well, you condemn it. I see an exit strategy.
Oh, man. Hey, back in rotation, 25 for 45. We're rolling back the clock. We're going for the 25th Amendment for the 45th president, because clearly the man is not in good health. We go to CNN's John King.
That'd be a separate issue for the president. There was a lot of talk over the weekend. He gave the commencement address at West Point. He was walking down the ramp afterwards, and he looked a little shaky. The president says no big deal. It was a downward ramp, and it was a little, he says, slippery, even though it was a clear day. The internet, as the internet does, suggesting maybe the president was having some balance issues here.
So it's the straight man. Yeah. You know, it says could be this. I'm a news reporter, but then of course you got to bring in what's her name, Abby Phillips.
What do we know?
Yeah, but President Trump also responded to this by tweeting about it, and I think it really contributed to the conversation around all of this. And I think what we're seeing here is President Trump has had these moments. There's this video. There is also a video of him drinking water and holding it with both hands that have led some people to question whether he is being transparent about his health. Again, President Trump himself has been one to constantly criticize the health of his rival, Joe Biden. In 2016, he criticized the health of his rival, Hillary Clinton. But now I think it's a moment where people are looking at these latest incidents. They're also looking at the president's, long history of his speech, his ability to sort of convey information accurately.
He's sick because he can't convey information accurately. His lying, I think, is an illness.
Long history of his speech, his ability to sort of convey information accurately. That really leads to questions about whether the president is being transparent about his own well-being, or whether this is a case of hypocrisy. The Trump campaign repeatedly questioning whether Joe Biden is mentally fit. Now we're seeing Democrats turning the tables on that message with President Trump as well.
Oh, yeah, he's not fit.
I watched this.
Yeah.
Because I kept hearing about it, let me guess. So I went to the speech, listened to this. The speech sucked.
Yeah.
And he gave this long speech, and then he gingerly walked down this ramp, which may have been slippery, whether it's wet or not. It could have been painted, it could have been slippery or not. But maybe he's wearing his lifts and it didn't feel comfortable walking down the steps or down this ramp.
That's what I was thinking. The lifts.
Because you have lifts in and you're
already leaning forward.
You're having trouble you're going to have trouble walking down a ramp.
Yeah.
And but even then, it wasn't that bad. He was slow going down the ramp, but it wasn't like the way I heard it described. Oh my God, he could barely walk down the ramp. He almost stay stopping and going.
My favorite was he said it was slippery, but it hadn't rained.
Yeah, like things are only slippery when it rains. Ever been on granite? So I thought it was just nonsense, and then he jogged down at the bottom for some reason. And so I just thought they're grasping at straws, and it's just kind of. And there's a lot of it's CNN, and there's the same guys. It's these Chinese-controlled CNN, New York Times, Washington Post. Those three sources are no good. MSNBC we know is no good, and that's not controlled by anybody.
That's history. That's just historical. We know they're just no
junk.
Good. Home of Matt Lauer. Home of the protecting of Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah, that's NBC. Yeah, and they're Comcast. I mean, people should, if they're going to get, they should start hounding the right wingers and their operations that are counter to the Media Matters and the rest of them should start hounding the shareholders about the chairmanship of Comcast. They're the ones that call the shots on NBC. They own it.
I don't think Republicans. I don't know. They used to do that kind of stuff. They used to when
they were religious.
Oh, is that it? Well, right now we have the left-leaning Catholics are furious at the president because you have this retired Archbishop Vigano. Have you followed this guy with his?
I have not followed this story at all.
Yeah, I had a long chat with one of our producers about, he was trying to clue me into the Jesuits, and really the Catholic faith has fractioned, and it's over really odd things. But the big break was not going to church and allowing churchgoers to be locked up and not even do something outside with cars or whatever the alternatives were. And because I'll just say roughly half, I don't know what it is. A lot are like, well, no, it's just too dangerous. And then you have the ones like, well, no matter what, we should go. We have faith in God that we're going to do. Whatever it is, there's a rift. And it also exists with pro-life versus pro-choice. There's things going on in the church that I'm not versed enough in myself, but it's there. And this Archbishop Vigano, he's all in on he might as well just be a Trump guy, and he's saying some smart things. But look at the Pope. The Pope is, I think, personally, I feel he is a charlatan. He's not the guy. He's not the man of God. That's why it was so easy for me to predict him.
Yes, you have direct connections with the devil.
Clearly. Yeah, okay. Thanks. You outed me.
There was a picture of Greta that's floating around. And
is this a sexy picture finally with her hair loose?
Oh, no. This is the worst picture of her I've ever seen. She actually looks like the devil, and which is why this came to mind. I got to find something, because there is a picture of a demon or something that this shot is fashioned after. I'm absolutely sure of it. Poor girl. I feel sorry for her.
I want to thank Scott Adams for doing something very unpopular, but only something that he, I think, is uniquely qualified to do. And he says that he has now been waiting for 7 full days. He had a challenge. He wanted anybody to provide a current example of systemic racism in America. And no one could do it. No one could provide an actual example. And he goes on to say that there's people throw out stats, stats like, well, more black men are killed by cops than white men. And then you say, well, no, that's not true. Yeah, but statistically, because there's less black men. And it just goes on and on. I mean, if we really were looking at stats honestly, it would be, hey, why are cops killing men? If you're really interested in statistics, why? What's going on? Why are men being killed? Why are men in jail more often? But no, that's not what it is. And he said there is not a single serious statistician on the left or the right who will come out and defend the statistics that are being used for systemic racism, because they know they can't. And I think it's really brave of him to do that, because you don't make yourself popular with the Black Lives Matter crowd, but it needs to be discussed. We need to look at this.
Yes, it does. Well, this is like Tucker Carlson's supposed disinformation.
But the difference here is, in my mind, Black Lives Matter and focusing on the cops is a cover-up in plain sight. Even if it's just the policies, let's just say it's the policies and the training. If you have really good training, you will not do certain moves. You will not shoot under circumstances because it's reflexes, muscle memory. That's why it's called training. These are because of the policies of the very same people who are now saying it's all the police's fault. It's a huge cover-up, and it's going under this banner of systemic racism, which no one seems to be able to prove. Jim Crow actually did end. It's off the books. So show me the systemic. I'm very interested. So good on Scott Adams for doing that.
Show me the systemic
racism. Try almost. Try one more time. I'd like to
show me this blah 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 blah. I had talked about ISOs. I do have.
Donating to No Agenda. Imagine all the people
already blew through you, man.
Oh yeah, that'd be fab.
I set the cue.
No Agenda.
I'm desperately trying to get out of this.
Yeah, well, yeah. Okay.
I apologize.
Well, you're out of it.
Here we are.
Because we're talking about donors.
We did it.
We're going to name names and location of our donors. Ready to go?
We may have to stop here or there because we do have some special things.
Yeah, there's some call-outs for fathers in here, and you're going to be on the lookout for them as I blow through the names.
Okay.
And that's the way it's going to work. Douglas Murray's top of the list, $121.20 from Missoula, Montana. And as a boost to his sister's damehood. Mark Brinson in Fort Worth, Texas, got a birthday there.
Yes, he does. This is his first donation, so he wants a deduction.
You've been deduced.
But it goes towards Brian Zeiss's eventual knighthood and deducing in honor of his 40th birthday, which was yesterday, June 17th. Brian punched me hit me in the mouth, but punched me in the face with this show at the beginning of the scandemic. Thank you, Adam and John, for your insight through all of this bull crap. Please send Jobs Karma at the end. We'll do that. And Goat Karma, so that his business gets a jump start as the economy reopens. You bet.
Mr. French Mark in Lansing, Michigan, $101. Michael Reardon in San Diego, California, $100.
And he has, yes, he says, I've been a loyal listener for a long time. With this donation of $100, have finally crossed the knighthood threshold, accounting below. Sorry it took so long. No, we're very happy that you did this. And he happily gives the honors to his wonderful wife, Monica, a true avid listener. Please welcome her to the round table as Dame Mon. I'm committing myself to joining her and the royal gang soon. What a man. What a man. Ladies first. Thank you very much, Michael.
Stephen B.O., $100. He's up in Seattle, and he does have actually a kind of a note that's interesting. He needs a deducing for starters.
You've been deduced.
We're on to say,
he's boosting. He's boosting his firsthand observation with Chaz, and he says it falls in with Seattle-based journalist Katie Herzog, who is a left-wing journalist who got fired from one of the local papers up there, and she's now a podcaster. And I do have some of her stuff lined up because she's quite.
Oh, she good?
She is part of the documenting the people who have been canceled. She's a cancel culture girl.
Okay, gotcha.
So we'll do stuff with her later. Gert Bielen in Vertrick, Belgium.
Let's see. This would be Geert Belen in Vertrijk. Yeah, I'm not sure. Vertrijk. Thank you very much.
Sir David, and that's $99.99. Sir David Pugh follows that in a birthday call out 8008 from Massillon, Ohio. And he's got a smoking hot wife. Mm-hmm. Tom Bowersocks in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, 8008. Laudelina Alves in Toronto, 6666. Sarah Brown, 66.60. Steve Whitmer, a.k.a. Sir Steve of the Las Vegas Valley.
Did you read Sarah Brown's note, which we won't, but it was a happy Father's Day to Tyler Brown and something of his that has made him a father 3 times over. Yes. Sarah! It's got to be those Joe Rogan people again, John.
Oh,
coming in with their dirty talk.
Very, very lewd. Lewd, Sarah. Steve Whitmer. Yeah, and if Tyler's listening, he should ask her what she wrote.
Yeah, really.
It's your father. Steve Whitmer of the Sir Steve of the Las Vegas Valley in Las Vegas, 5633.
And he's got a birthday. He's celebrating his 56th trip around our fiery orb, as well as being a Father's Day baby. Okay. And we'll do some birthday karma and everything for you coming up. Thank you very much.
David Phillips in Pomeroy, Washington, 5560. And he's got to have a call out here if you can find it.
Well, he liked the analysis of the noodle gun.
Loves the noodle gun.
But he disagrees with the noodle gun being weak and flaccid. He finds it's a noodle assault rifle. Everyone is terrified of it. So he's talking about the 5560 being the caliber of round used in the AR-15 to be the noodle gun donation.
Interesting.
Well,
okay, we'll put that on the list as a possibility.
Yes, definitely.
Jay and Tyler in Willows, California, 5555. I think they need, you see, the couple. Is there a call out?
Oh, no, I want to read this.
Okay.
This email is associated with the donation from Joe Quill. Okay. So this is from Jay and Tyler. Longtime boner, first-time donor. We are a gay couple living in a small, rural Northern California community and are huge fans of the show. I've been listening.
That's where the skunk train goes.
I've been listening. That's what she said. I've been listening since 2009 after hearing Adam on the Adam Carolla podcast. I hit my husband in the mouth about 5 years ago. Our donation is long overdue and thought this was the perfect time as my company is being threatened by a noodle gun. I work for a small tech company in a non-Silicon Valley town in Northern California. We have a small group of over-socialized and underinformed employees who are threatening to call out the company and our CEO if senior management does not follow their demands. One of these noodle kids actually quit since the demands were not met. It is absolutely surreal watching this play out, and gee, it almost seems like it is being taken from some sort of playbook. The only reason I'm keeping our real names anonymous is because I don't want the gun pointed at me or more guns at the company. On a side note, Adam, our local cable system did not add MTV until my junior year of high school, 86, 87. To this day, I associate you with White Lion videos, since they were often on the daily top 10 video countdown, and your hairstyle closely resembled their lead singer, Mike Tramp's hair. We were also religious watchers of Headbangers Ball. Thanks for the great memories. Jay and Tyler, thank you very much for your courage. And I guess, do they get I'll give them a D-douche. Yes,
You've been D-douched.
Fully D-douche, gentlemen. Thank you. Nice note. I appreciate that.
Aaron Garcia comes up from Tempe, Arizona with 55-55. Sir Sean DeSantis in Fort Pierce, Florida, 55-33. Sir Dean Roker, Baron Roker from East Grinstead, Great Britain, 55-10. Double nickels on the dime. Daniel Mariano in Pflugerville, Texas, 55-10. $55 from Sir Laughalot in Metairie, Louisiana.
And it's his 55th birthday today, so you bet. KC5 Delta Yankee in the morning to you, 73s.
Another birthday with Katie in North Charleston, South Carolina, $50.40. And then Joseph Spinoza in Fort White, Florida, 5033. And the rest of these people are $50 donors, name and location. You'll be looking for the Father's Day call-outs. Brian Shop in Lenexa, Kansas. John Camp in Antlers, Oklahoma. Mark Hegstrom in Beaumont, California. By the way, Camp in Antlers, you should do some research for us on this situation going on in Tulsa with a Trump rally.
Please. Yes.
Mark Hegstrom, Beaumont, California. Christopher Mueller in Cedar Park, Texas. Alexander Stowinski in Denver. Simon Elisha in Elsterwick, Victoria, Australia. Hello, Australia. Scott Lavender, Baronet Eamon Fistbump in Montgomery, Texas. Jessica Green in Asheville, North Carolina. Chris
Hold on,
Lewinsky.
Jessica has said, this is to start my excellent husband and dad to our kids on his journey to knighthood. We love you, Stuart Green. Oh, isn't that sweet?
Chris Lewinsky, Sir Chris in Sherwood Park, Alberta. Longtime donor. Yep. And finally, Sir Spud the Mighty in Marietta, Georgia, $50. Woo! Those people all contributed and helped produce show 1252. I want to thank each and every one of them, plus the people down below.
And we have a make good. I want to make sure we do this for Peter Meloncelli. He says,
all right.
Yeah, we messed this one up. So I wanted to start the path to my daughter Andromeda's or Romy's damehood with an associate executive producer credit under the name Andromeda Galaxy. She's turning 9 on Friday, June 12th. So this was, we missed this. Obviously, we're making up for it. Loves the show. The jingles and all the bad words. I'd also like to do a shout out to my smoking hot wife, Yen. Sorry, John. And my human resource, Hadrian. So he has a birthday jingle request for Romy, a de-douching, which we'll do now.
You've been de-douched.
She wants us to call out her dad as a douchebag. My pleasure. Douchebag. Goat karma, shut up slave, and an Obama chicken dance. And I'll do some jobs karma after that for everybody with the reminder that we will need your support again for Sunday. So please visit us at
Dvorak.org/NA.
Jobs, 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 and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got karma.
If there's one thing I hate about this show, it's keeping track of the dates, but there we go. June 18th already. Here are the birthdays on the birthday list. Jeffrey Tohig, longtime producer. Good sir, happy birthday to you. He'll be celebrating on June 20th. Richard Vile, 51 on the 30th. Mark Brinson says happy birthday to Brian Zeiss, who turned 40 yesterday. James Story, 41 tomorrow. Gavin McElroy says happy birthday to his decisively delicious wife, Christine. She celebrates on the 30th. Sir Dude named Ben, defender of the megawatt, celebrating tomorrow, the 19th. Remy Coter, happy birthday to his smoldering hot wife, Femke. She celebrated on the 17th. Sir Dave Pugh, to his smoking hot wife, Amy, who's turning 44. Steve Whitmer, 56 on the 21st. Sir Laughalot, 55 years old today. And tomorrow, Katie turns 40. Happy birthday from everybody here at the best podcast in the universe. Whew! No, we don't have any... No title changes, so we do have, let's see, 1, 2, we got a Dame, we got, what is this? Polly Chase, I don't quite understand what this is. I have Polly Chase and Wyatt, John Bolland, Sir Johnny B. Was this a birthday? Or is it a knighting? Oh, I'm sorry. These are it's under the wrong heading. Okay, now I understand the problem. These are belated birthdays. I didn't realize. Jason Denny turned 48 on June 6th, and Polly Chase and Wyatt want to say happy birthday to John Bolland, Sir Johnny B. And I guess we missed his birthday as well. So then we have 2 knights and 1 dame. Let's grab the Blades. Blades. Hello, Blade.
Hold on. Here it is. I got it.
Yeah, good. All right, up on stage, Mr. Fungi, Chris Rutger, and Monica Reardon. The 3 of you are about to join the illustrious table of the No Agenda Knights and Dames. Very proud at this moment to pronounceate the Sir Fungi, the Knight of the Rhizosphere, Sir Tsitsi, and Dame Mon. For you, we have Hookers and Blow, Rent Boys, and Chardonnay. We've got Polish potato, vodka, organic macaroni and plasticizers, beer and blunts, Brazilian hotties, and cachaça, cowgirls and coffin varnish, Rubenesque women and rosé. How about some geishas and sake, vodka and vanilla, bong hits and bourbon, sparkling cider and escort, ginger ale and gerbils, breast milk and pablum, or the all-time favorite, mutton and mead. Head over to noagendanation.com/rings, and we'll get Eric the Shill on the case. We'll give you the ring and our sealing wax, and your official certificate. We'll get it in the mail to you as soon as possible. Thank you very much for your support of the No Agenda Show, the best podcast in the universe.
No Agenda Meetups.
Yeah. All right, we have a meetup report. Where is my... Yes, from Denver City Park, a recent No Agenda meetup.
Hello, No Agenda Nation. This is the Denver City Park sit-in meetup. We have one knight here, Sir Charles of the coin-operated laundromat, and we have one black knight, one black dog. We have 8 people here. It's been a great meetup, and we have something everyone wants to say.
In the morning!
Excellent. Thank you so much. Meetups are back on. People are getting together. It's fantastic. So happy. It was just completely dead for almost 3 months. And coming up tomorrow, Friday, we have Oregon's Local 33. That'll be at Willamette Park. Rain or shine, by the way. Tim organizing. Also tomorrow in Charlotte, meetup number 4 at Sycamore Brewing. Saturday, the motorcycle ride-up in Truckee, California, 12 o'clock. Meet, ride, eat, Fast Lane gas station in Truckee. Master Jones, your host. Saturday, Supercast Low Country meetup at Taco Boy downtown. Dame Jennifer Buchanan. That's one if you're in the neighborhood you want to go visit. West Texas Permain Basin meetup in Midland, 2 o'clock. Sir Michael of Calgary and Vegas organizing that. Also Saturday, Local 406 re-up and Damehood celebration at Bairn Brewery. Ellen Murray hosting for you. Second ever Central Chilinoisian meetup at 333. Sir Kyle the Fearless Jedi Knight of the Orange Fleet organizing that one's Flight 004 of the No Agenda at a new location. Meet at Steelcraft Long Beach. That is Leo Bravo. First Western New York meetup at 4 o'clock. Battle Street Brewery in Dansville, New York. Anthony Parker is your host. And No Agenda 3 Mile Island evac zone meetup number 3 at 4 o'clock. And this, you have to RSVP for that. Organizer Sir 737 has secret details for you. The 21st, that's this Sunday, Bisbee, Arizona's first No Agenda meetup, 3:33 in the afternoon. Sean and Joe Eddington organizing at Joe's Consignment. On the horizon, June 25th, Porcupine Freedom Festival, Lancaster, New Hampshire, Sioux Falls, South Dakota. And also coming up the 27th, the second Central Texas Meat Shoot, which I hope to be able to attend, Sir Scott organizing that. For all of these meetups, or if you didn't hear one, you can organize your own. We have a great place for it. It's noagendameetups.com. Meet people like the crazy No Agenda people. It's like a party.
Sometimes you want to go hang out with all the nights and days. You want to be where you won't be triggered or held to blame. Everybody feels the same. It's like a party.
Just like one.
I have a potential ISO I'd like to play.
Okay, I have a couple myself, actually, interestingly enough.
We'll start with mine. Is Biden a truth? Another one of the truth Biden.
Okay, let's see.
Folks, here's the truth.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, stinks.
I have this
stinks.
The opposite is true.
Could do a double ender.
Folks, here's the truth.
The opposite is true.
Then someone sent me this one for some reason.
That's funny. That's a funny
Putin
couple.
forever. This is Horowitz. Did he say this on the DH Unplugged show?
He might have.
Putin forever.
It's not bad.
It's as ISOs go.
Show, but
so what should we do? What should we do? You want to do these?
I like the idea of the combo.
The combo?
Folks, here's the truth.
The opposite is true.
That does kind of work, doesn't it? Okay,
yeah.
I'll put
Actually,
it in.
all three of them might work if you say Putin forever.
Well, that's too much. That's too much.
Too much work. Too much work.
No, executive decision. It's experience. I know what works, what doesn't work.
So we have a screwball thing in California where the PG&E company was now charged with murder.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
Yes. I don't know what they're going to do about it. Well, are they going to put someone in jail for life or what? What's the deal? Listen to this
California
story.
utility company PG&E has confessed to killing 84 people as it pleads guilty to involuntary manslaughter charges over its role in starting devastating fires in Northern California in 2018. The fires destroyed 18,000 structures.
Good luck.
Butte County District Attorney Mike Ramsey described the plea deal as unprecedented.
Over in our North County court today saw something of an unprecedented nature. A major United States corporation pleading guilty to 85 felony counts, 84 of which were homicide counts. In other words, killing 84 Butte County citizens.
Wow. So how does that work? Who gets the electric chair?
This is classic democracy now. There's no analysis, nobody coming on to say, well, what's this all about?
Who gets the chair?
Are they going to put someone in jail or just, well, there you have it?
Jeez.
I have no idea.
I'll do this hydroxychloroquine update since Gus, you want to say something?
I'm just saying everyone's scratching their heads.
Yeah, well, there's your democracy now. Transparency, explaining everything to you. So the FDA, I believe it was the FDA, removed hydroxychloroquine from the emergency use.
Folks, here's the truth.
At Houston's United Memorial Medical
It's one of those days, man. Joe, shut up. Because apparently it doesn't work, it's not effective, and it could even interfere with the official drug you're supposed to like, which is remdesivir. So we have to discount it even more. And here's a local report from Houston.
At Houston's United Memorial Medical Center, dozens of patients with the coronavirus have taken hydroxychloroquine. The drug was traditionally used against malaria until the pandemic broke out.
We have a survival rate of more than 99%.
Dr. Joseph Verone is the chief medical officer here.
Hydroxychloroquine works. I know that a lot of people think that it doesn't, but You know, we have treated more than 100 patients in the hospital with hydroxychloroquine, and the patients have done well.
The FDA has now revoked its emergency use authorization, saying the drug is not likely to be effective in treating COVID-19, and the benefits no longer outweigh the potential risks, such as heart problems.
Well, hydroxychloroquine should have never made it to...
I might point out Chinese, this woman.
The FDA emergency use.
Dr. Layla Watt-Coburn is an infectious disease specialist and associate professor at Baylor College of Medicine.
It sounds like the infectious disease expert would know all about this. It seems like it's two different types of practice.
She says the drug can have harmful side effects.
In our haste to make someone better, we wanted to try everything. And sometimes by doing that, you actually make it worse.
It usually takes about 3 to 4 days before you can start seeing an improvement in patients. But by day 4 or day 5, they really do better.
Dr. Verone believes the drug is effective for coronavirus as long as it's given early to patients and they're closely monitored in the hospital.
Of course, no mention of zinc or anything like that, so it's a woefully inadequate report.
Well, the other thing, the woman is mixing up, they're always doing this, they're mixing up chloroquine
with hydroxychloroquine.
With hydroxy, which is the
Are they really mixing it up, John? Are they really?
I don't know what they're doing. And there was a report, CBS, by the way, they took this thing off one list, put it on another, took it off another list. It's all over the place. And so I'm listening to, I'm telling you, I'm listening to CBS radio.
Mm-hmm.
And they go, they're then taken off the list so people can now prescribe it. And then they had John LaPook. And I wish I could get this clip. John LaPook is the CBS medical guy.
Mm-hmm.
And he had this quick line, and they just, quick line, throw it in. Well, it seems to work. Boom, off to something
We're
else.
done. Good. Way to go.
Why they take it off, John? Because it seems to work. Okay, and the next story.
Yeah, right.
But this is the strangest thing I've ever witnessed. Because it's just about Trump. It's not about the drug's efficacy.
Well, the media was played easily by it being about Trump, but the medical pharmaceutical industry really didn't want this 50-cent pill anywhere near this problem. And the useful idiots of the media, once all you need is for one official person with a lab coat to say, I don't think so. Oh, then the media jumps on it. There's that new thing, the methoxazone, whatever it is. Another amazingly cheap drug.
Oh, the steroid.
Yeah, the steroid. Thank you. So Trump needs to endorse it so it can get pulled off the market.
He should endorse the remdesivir.
Well, he is kind of.
And vaccines while he's at it.
Yeah, he is. He's plugging the vaccines. He's all in on it because he doesn't care. He's like, vaccines will, that solves itself. People who want to take them will take them. People who don't. He wants the checkmark recovery, which, by the way, is coming. And I'll explain why.
Oh, boy.
Yep. So the former New York banker has taught me that the problem we face in the United States with the money that we've printed up, this is your modern monetary theory, MMT, is we can slide into the so-called Japanese debt trap if we don't make more children, which doesn't seem very likely because we're making dogs our children. And so the older the society gets, then we're just going to print money. And it's not even printing. It's a back-end process. It's shuttling and back and forth. There's really no more money to be made in credit markets. And now Japan is officially in a deflationary state. And we could see that here too. And deflation is difficult. The deflation...
Oh, no, you're screwed when that's the most feared word in the economic.
And this is where the term helicopter money comes from. So I fully expect, in addition to the $1 trillion infrastructure bill, if that's first, maybe not, we are going to see another huge payment to American citizens and residents. There's going to be a huge payment. More money is coming because they are so prices. What happens is prices drop. And when prices drop, people, we've been locked up. Like, hey, I'll wait for the sale. You go to the mall now, 40, 50, 60, 70% off. Some don't even have product anymore. They got to get rid of it. The price, people don't want to pay for stuff. So deflation is very, very, very bad. And you don't want that. And we're starting to go into it. So we're going to get helicopter money, and the result of all of this modern monetary theory is that anybody who's in the finance game has nowhere else to go but one place, the stock market. These stock, you can, I don't take any stock advice from me. I'm not doing it, but you can put money into the market. It will guaranteed go up for the next foreseeable time because the money has no other place to go. Hence the check mark. Doesn't mean the economy is strong. The economy is going to suck. We're in deep shit, particularly with deflation. But the check mark is coming. And that's your financial overview for the day. Brought to you by the VJ. You trust me, don't you? Ding.
Okay, we can do one COVID world report, and I think that's enough.
I agree. Let's see. How is COVID doing in the world?
In China, Beijing has closed its schools again and canceled thousands of flights after a new COVID outbreak. 106 Beijing residents have tested positive over the past week. In India, the death toll has reached nearly 12,000 after authorities registered more than 2,000 deaths on Tuesday. Meanwhile, Pakistan reported 140 people died over the past day, a new daily high. In Latin America, Honduran President Juan Orlando Hernandez has announced he has tested positive for coronavirus along with his wife and 2 aides. Hernandez says he began to feel unwell over the weekend. In Australia, authorities have announced Australia's borders will likely remain closed until 2021. Meanwhile, the United States has announced its borders with Mexico and Canada will remain closed to non-essential travel for at least another month. In other coronavirus news, a new study in the journal Health Affairs estimates as many as 450,000 cases of COVID-19 could have been prevented if states had mandated the wearing of face masks.
Oh, yes, of course. Well, that makes nothing but sense. Yeah. Well, Trump bungled it, so he's responsible for tens of thousands of additional deaths. Joe Biden told me so.
Yeah, Joe Biden knows what he's talking about.
That's right. Special thanks to End of Show mixers Jesse Coy Nelson and John Fletcher. We have Nick the Rat Show coming up next on NoAgendaStream.com. This may be the one that Horowitz is on, episode 235. So stay tuned for that and hang out in the troll room. And we will return on Sunday and do it all over again because there's always something new and fresh happening. So excited. Coming to you from Opportunity Zone 33 in Austin, Texas, capital of the Drone Star State. I'm in FEMA Region number 6 if you need to look it up on the governmental maps. In the morning, everybody, I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, where I can see the freeway clogged with trucks with the Amazon logo, I'm John C. Dvorak.
How depressing does that sound? Again, remember us at Dvorak.org/NA. We love your support. We need it. It is our value for value network. You get what out of it, what you get put into it, and that works both ways. Until Sunday, adios, mofos, and such.
So when it comes to Black Lives Matter, I think what folks that are writing All Lives Matter need to understand is that for some people, Black lives don't matter at all. So for us, Black Lives Matter.
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
Well, first of all, I think now my nieces and nephews will actually give me, some props because they'll think I'm cool now that Dave Chappelle has mentioned my name, and I'm actually honored to be.
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
But what I will say is that I agree that I think the establishment, I think that the young people who are out there in the streets.
I don't give a damn.
I'm ashamed that I voted for the 94 crime bill. You ashamed of that bill?
Not at all. In fact, I drafted the bill, as you remember.
I know that.
And by the way, Black lives really do matter. But the problem is institutional racism in America.
I have never experienced racism in America. That doesn't mean that other people haven't. And none of the people that I know are racist. I don't know a racist. I've never been around racists. Why do I have to be subject to an idea that people are forcing on me just because of the color of my skin?
Wash your hands more often than you ever dreamed possible. Wash your hands. Wash your hands. more often than you ever dreamed possible. We need you to do this, if not for yourself, then for your abuela. Wash your hands. Wash your hands. Do it for your granddaddy. Wash your hands. Do it for your pop. Wash your hands more often than you ever dreamed possible. Especially in communities of color. Wash your hands. Wash. Do it for your big mama. Do it for your big mama. More often than you ever dreamed possible. We need you to step up right now. We need you to step up right now. We need you to do this for your abuela. Do it for your granddaddy. Wash. Do it for your pop. Wash. Do it for your big mama. Wash your hands more often than you ever dreamed possible. And speaking of mothers, checking on your mother. She wants to hear from you right now. Avoid alcohol, tobacco, and drugs. We need you to do this for your abuela. Wash your hands. Do it for your big mama. Wash your hands. Do it for your pop. Wash your hands more often than you ever dreamed possible.
The best podcast in the universe.
Adios, mofo.
Dvorak.org/NA.
Folks, here's the truth.
The opposite is true.